Chapter 1583. Looking at the huge vortex in front of them, everyone was a little dumbfounded. The strength of the chief and the two elders was there for all to see. In the hearts of the tribe of darkness, the three of them were like gods. In an instant, the three of them had been sucked into the vortex by Longao. Holding the samsara sword in his hand, he continuously used the samsara sword at the fastest speed. The difference in realm was too big. It was not a good idea to keep fighting like this. Not only that, Longao was very worried about darkness in his heart because the level 9 star god that he just gave darkness was a fake. At most, it would last for 2 hours. In other words, after 2 hours, darkness would realize that there was something wrong with the level 9 star god. At that time, darkness would definitely be furious. It would not be so easy to leave if he wanted to. This battle had to be ended quickly. Longao continuously used the samsara sword. With a big stride, he directly rushed out. With the vortex as a cover, Longao's figure quickly disappeared. However, he did not leave the dark city. Instead, he was forced into the inner city. "Chief, what should we do now?" he sneered. Dongfang Sheng was not worried at all. He said confidently, "As long as the three of us stay here, Black Wolf will not be able to leave the dark city. After the old ancestor devours the level 9 star god and recovers from his injuries, it will be Black Wolf's time of death." Hearing this, Dongfang Hua and Dongfang Qin laughed at the same time. 2 hours later, in a secluded valley. At this moment, a shocking anger suddenly came from the valley. Darkness's entire body exploded with a terrifying killing intent. The killing intent spread out and surrounded the valley, not dissipating for a long time. "Black Wolf, you dared to lie to me. I will tear you into pieces." Darkness never thought that Black Wolf, who had made a blood oath, would dare to trick him. In addition to being shocked, Darkness was also very curious. Because just 2 hours ago, he did not sense that the star god Black Wolf gave him was fake. Otherwise, he would not have been deceived. Anger. Endless anger. At this moment, Darkness was like a volcano that was about to erupt. He could erupt at any time. His figure disappeared. In the next second, Darkness's figure appeared at the city gate. Forefather. Looking at the old ancestor who had suddenly appeared in front of them, Dongfang Sheng and the other two immediately set up a chi shield to isolate the surroundings. In unfallen darkness, other than the three of them, no one knew that the old ancestor had not fallen. He bowed respectfully. The three of them were pleasantly surprised, because if their old ancestor devoured a level 9 star god, not only would he be able to recover from his injuries and kill Black Wolf, even they might be able to obtain unexpected benefits. Especially Dongfang Sheng. Previously, Darkness had promised him that as long as he devoured a grade 9 star god to recover from his injuries, even Dongfang Sheng might be able to break through the Nirvana realm and advance to the Starry Sky Cultivator realm. Very soon, the three of them realized that something was wrong with the old ancestor. The old ancestor should have been happy and excited after devouring a level 9 star god. But now, could it be that there were variables involved? The level 9 star god Black Wolf gave me was a fake. He was shocked, and he was also startled. The three of them had never thought that Black Wolf would actually play dirty. However, what they couldn't figure out was why the elder ancestor couldn't discover the real star god. How could Darkness not know what the three of them were thinking? Suppressing the endless anger in his heart, Darkness asked, "Where's Black Wolf?" The three of them could clearly sense that the elder ancestor in front of them was extremely angry. If they provoked the elder ancestor at this time, they would simply be courting death. Dongfang Sheng didn't dare to hide anything. He recounted everything that had happened in detail, not daring to leave out the slightest detail. After listening, Darkness wasn't as angry as they had imagined. Instead, he seemed exceptionally calm. "It seems that Black Wolf is still in the City of Darkness. Dongfang Hua, Dongfang Qin, you two stay here. If the Black Wolf escapes, I'll hold you responsible." Shocked, Dongfang Hua and Dongfang Qin immediately replied respectfully and with a little fear, "Please don't worry, elder ancestor. If the Black Wolf leaves, we will die. Sheng come with me." Dongfang Sheng didn't dare to hesitate and immediately left with Darkness. In the City of Darkness, beside a secluded garbage dump. The more inconspicuous a place was, the safer it was. Longao was very depressed. He was only one step away from smoothly leaving the City of Darkness. Unfortunately, he was just one step away and didn't leave in the end. 2 hours had passed. Longao was very clear that the level 9 astral god that Long Fu had refined could only last for 2 hours, even if it was integrated with Xiling's astral god aura. Now, if nothing unexpected happened, Darkness must have discovered that the level 9 astral god was fake. If he chose to leave at this time, he would be like a lamb in a tiger's den. He couldn't act rashly. If he made the slightest mistake, not to mention leaving the City of Darkness, it was unknown whether he could even survive. Longao, I've already carefully examined the spirit you just gave me. Things are a little troublesome. What's going on? Hearing Xiling's words, Longao was shocked because he had already guessed that Darkness wouldn't give him Yu Yin's spirit so easily. Could it be that Darkness had done something? Longao, Darkness has set a taboo lock in your spirit. Unless a cultivator of the starry sky above level 6 acts in person, once you break the lock by force, I'm afraid your spirit will be. At this point, Xiling didn't continue, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Hearing this, Longao's face became more and more gloomy. What a despicable and shameless Darkness. How could he not understand Xiling's meaning? Darkness was a taboo lock set by a cultivator of the starry sky. Even a cultivator of the starry sky at the same level was far stronger than Darkness. Otherwise, if he tried to break the lock by force, the consequences would be unimaginable. Xiling, don't you have a way? Xiling's strength was no longer a secret. Through the previous attacks, Longao already knew that Xiling was a genuine level 9 cultivator of the starry sky. He was a super expert almost at the same level as the marvelous mathematician, above the heavenly Tao. A level 9 cultivator of the starry sky was far stronger than Darkness. Longao knew very well that even if Xiling hadn't recovered his peak strength, it shouldn't be difficult for him to break the taboo lock set by Darkness. But what was the result? Longao, if my injury can recover to the starry sky realm, even if it's level 1, I can easily break the taboo lock. But now, I'm afraid even I'm powerless. I'm sorry. His face suddenly changed. Even Xiling couldn't do anything. Didn't that mean that Yu Yin was in big trouble this time? Chapter 1584. What was the use of Yu Yin to find the divine soul after going through so much trouble and risking his life? Each had their own ulterior motives. Although Longao was very angry in his heart, he did not blame Darkness. People's hearts were sinister. Not only Darkness, but even he had also tricked Darkness. Originally, he thought that after successfully obtaining the divine soul, he could leave the dark world. As for the enmity between him and Darkness, as well as with Darkness, he could stop here. But what was the result? Now that the divine soul was locked by the Darkness taboo, if he chose to leave at this time, not only would it fail, but even Yu Yin would be in big trouble. After thinking about it, in the end, Longao decided to stay. When he broke the divine soul taboo lock, he would leave the dark world. In the Tianwu continent, the only starry sky cultivators that Longao knew were the divine mathematician and the heavenly Tao. The divine mathematician was a 9th level starry sky cultivator, and the heavenly Tao was an 8th level starry sky cultivator. Whether it was the divine mathematician or the heavenly Tao, they could easily break the divine soul taboo lock. The heavenly Tao could not. Longao was very clear about the matter between himself and the heavenly Tao. In the future, the battle would be unavoidable. If he went to the heavenly Tao at this time, wouldn't it be like a sheep entering the tiger's mouth? As for the divine mathematician, Longao was still quite confident in the divine mathematician. If he went to the Crystal Palace in the Outer Sea to look for the divine mathematician, the chances of the divine mathematician taking action were very high. It was better to be safe than sorry. In case the divine mathematician was not willing to take action, or the divine mathematician was not there, and he had already left the dark world, it was almost impossible to continue to enter the dark world. According to Hades, no matter who it was, as long as they entered the dark world once, even with the help of the dark chi cover. This time, he had to get the divine soul. If he could not do it, he would not leave. Darkness and Longao each had their own ulterior motives. Both of them had planned to trick the other, but in the end, neither of them got what they wanted. Whether it was Darkness or Longao, at this moment, both of them were extremely angry. Darkness was looking for Longao's whereabouts. On the other hand, Longao had been hiding all this time and did not appear rashly. Although Longao had great confidence in his own strength, Darkness was ultimately a cultivator of the starry skies. Even if his physical body had fallen and his star spirit was severely injured, he was still not an existence that he could contend against. It was very difficult to use other things to make up for the difference in cultivation level. What should he do? After thinking about it for a while, Longao really did not have any good ideas. In a secluded valley. Ancestor, if we all leave the city gate, won't we be in a passive position once Black Wolf leaves? The three of them were very surprised to be summoned by the old ancestor. They did not know what the old ancestor meant. The city gate was the only exit out of the dark city. Dongfang Hua and Dongfang Qin had been guarding the city gate. Now that they had left, the three of them were very clear that once Black Wolf chose to leave, there would be no obstacles. How could he be willing? Darkness, on the other hand, had an indifferent look on his face. He was not worried at all. He coughed. After what happened before, I can almost say that Black Wolf entered the Dark City this time not because of my inheritance, but because of the little girl's divine soul. The three of them nodded in agreement. Even if they knew, what could they do? Could it be that Darkness would not leave the dark world? The three of them seemed to have thought of something, but they still did not quite believe it. After all, no matter who it was, they would try all kinds of ways to leave the dark world. If they continued to stay, only death would await them. However, the three of them were not fools. Since the old ancestor was so confident, there was no doubt that the chances of Black Wolf leaving the dark world were very small. I believe that you have already guessed that since Black Wolf took such a great risk to enter the dark world to retrieve the little girl's divine soul, then as long as the little girl's divine soul is still there, I believe that Black Wolf will not leave easily. The little girl's divine soul? Hadn't the little girl's divine soul already been given to Black Wolf? In that case, how could the little girl's divine soul restrain Black Wolf? Just when the three of them were puzzled, Darkness said, Black Wolf dared to play dirty with me, but I am not that easy to bully. When I gave Black Wolf the divine soul, I had already set up a taboo lock in it. Unless a powerhouse above the 7th Starry Sky cultivator personally takes action, no one can break the taboo lock. Darkness had full confidence in the taboo lock he had set up. With just a little Black Wolf, it was impossible for him to break the taboo lock he had set up. Hearing the old ancestor's words, the three of them finally breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, the three of them finally understood why the old ancestor was so confident that Black Wolf would not leave the dark world. It turned out that he had already prepared for it. Old ancestor, with all due respect, things have already reached this point. If Black Wolf is really afraid to leave the dark city, it will be as difficult as ascending to heaven for us to find him. Dongfang Hua was still a little worried. Unfalling darkness had been sealed for tens of thousands of years. No matter who it was, no one could break the seal and help unfalling darkness leave the dark world. Even the old ancestor could not do it. Dongfang Hua was very worried. Once Black Wolf left the dark world, how could unfalling darkness find Black Wolf if they could not break the seal? Darkness nodded. Of course, he knew about this. However, for Darkness, this matter was a gamble. Seeing that the old ancestor did not continue to speak, the three of them did not dare to say another word. According to Darkness's idea, the only thing they had to do was to wait. Because Darkness had full confidence in his guess, that was, to wait for Black Wolf to come. Wait. Time passed bit by bit. About 3 days later. In the secluded valley. Looking at the young man who suddenly came in, both Darkness and the three of them seemed a little surprised. Because although the four of them were full of confidence, they did not dare to be 100% sure because they had not seen Black Wolf with their own eyes. However, everything was fine now. The target had appeared. Darkness smiled and said with admiration, "Black Wolf, I can't help but admire your courage. You have the guts to stay and have the guts to come here. Today, I will leave your corpse intact." Without the slightest bit of fear, Longao's face was indifferent as he said, "Darkness, you and I both schemed against each other, so we're even. This time, I entered the world of darkness to take back Yuin's divine soul. As long as you give it to me, no matter what the conditions are, I can promise you. Ninth grade star god. As long as I can devour a ninth grade star god, you can take the star god away. If you dare to play any tricks, not only you, but even the divine soul, I can deal with it anytime. Do you believe me?" "I believe you. If I don't believe you, I won't stay. However, I can't agree to what you said because I can't wait." Chapter 1585. He couldn't wait. Longao indeed couldn't wait. Otherwise, he wouldn't have appeared so rashly. Yu Yin was currently unconscious. The longer the divine soul was delayed, the greater the damage to Yu Yin would be. Because of this, he had to fight for time and seize every second. He had to break the restriction in the divine soul as quickly as possible. "I won't believe you. Once bitten, twice shy." The current darkness could be said to be afraid of ropes for 10 years after being bitten by a snake. "Darkness, you just want a grade 9 star god. I can give it to you, but I can't wait that long. 3 days, I can only wait for you for 3 days at most." He shook his head. With what happened last time, Darkness would definitely not agree to it. In Darkness's opinion, since the other party could give him a fake grade 9 star god and maintain it for 2 hours, he would give him a second fake grade 9 star god and maintain it for 3 days. If Black Wolf left after 3 days and he found out that the grade 9 star god was fake, how would he deal with it? "Black Wolf, I'll give you one last chance. Hand over the grade 9 star god and you can leave after I devour it. Otherwise, not only the grade 9 star god, even you will have to stay here." The current valley was different from the past. Ever since the previous failure, Darkness had been setting up a powerful forbidden energy shield in the valley, cutting the weeds and eliminating the roots to prevent future troubles. Darkness not only wanted the grade 9 star god, but also wanted to exterminate him. The starry nether tiger couldn't be left alive. Otherwise, once the starry nether tiger reached the starry sky position in the future, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao didn't need to guess. He already knew. If he had the slightest idea, he wouldn't have to stay in Darkness City and face such a great danger. Longao released his aura in all directions. He could clearly sense that there were taboo chi barriers everywhere in the valley. As long as he made any movements, he believed that he would be attacked. "Black Wolf, are you afraid?" Dongfang Sheng was a little disdainful because things had already reached this stage. In his opinion, even if Black Wolf had the help of a spatial artifact, he couldn't leave the valley. The forbidden energy shield was the most powerful force in the world. "Darkness, if you want to attack by force, I'll choose to self-destruct. At that time, I'll let you know what mutual destruction means." Battle intent. At this moment, Longao's body suddenly erupted with a terrifying battle intent. His fighting spirit soared to the heavens, and he was full of confidence. The more Longao behaved like this, the more uncertain Darkness became. If it were anyone else, he would have scoffed at them and not taken them seriously. Except for the person in front of him. Darkness didn't care if Black Wolf died or not. If Black Wolf self-destructed, Darkness would be overjoyed. There was only one thing that Darkness was worried about, and that was the level 9 star god. If Black Wolf chose to self-destruct, wouldn't the level 9 star god also disappear? A level 9 star god, this kind of temptation was really too great. Black inwardly believed that he would not be able to resist, especially in his current situation. No matter what, he could not afford to lose a level 9 star god. Starry Sky cultivators had 9 grades, with grade 9 star deities being the highest. Not to mention him, even a grade 9 Starry Sky cultivator would want to obtain a grade 9 star deity. In order to prevent Black Wolf from self-destructing, Darkness decided to take a step back. "Black Wolf, you win." Sneering in his heart, Longao did not speak. He just looked at the 4 people in front of him coldly. Black Wolf, I'll take a step back. As long as you hand over the grade 9 Star God and the Starry Sky Hell Tiger, I can let you go. As for the restriction in your divine soul, I can help you break it. Without any surprise, Longao had already guessed it. After all, darkness would not give up on Long Ming and Xiling's Star God. However, in Longao's view, whether it was Xiling's Star God or Long Ming, he would not hand them over, even if he had to give up his own life. Seeing Black Wolf not speaking, Darkness sneered and said, Black Wolf, my patience is limited. I don't have time to waste with you. At the thought of the grade 9 Star God, Darkness was a little impatient. He could not wait to get a grade 9 Star God and devour it. In this way, not only could he recover from his injuries, but he could also use the power of the grade 9 Star God to break through to the grade 7 Starry Sky Realm, or even the grade 8 Starry Sky Realm. Dongfang Sheng and the other 2 closed in step by step. If they were in other places, the 3 of them might not have the slightest confidence to stop the other party. However, in the valley, the 3 of them were full of confidence. The old ancestor had already set up a restriction energy shield in the valley. Not to mention a puny god emperor, even the 3 of them could not leave the valley. Under the restriction, everyone was an ant. For a long time, the 3 of them had been depressed to the extreme. In just a few days, they had been defeated consecutively. This was simply a disgrace to them. Because of this, the 3 of them could not wait to kill Black Wolf. Without the slightest retreat, this battle was unavoidable. In that case, they would fight. Suddenly, Longao's body burst out with a terrifying fighting spirit. He stood up and wantonly rushed out. Holding the reincarnation sword tightly, Longao took a big stride forward. He took the initiative to gain the upper hand. His realm was much lower than the 3 of them. If he was passive, he would not have the slightest chance of winning this battle. Not only did Longao take the initiative, but his reincarnation avatar also appeared. Although the reincarnation avatar's cultivation was also at the peak of the God Emperor realm, his strength was very strong. In addition to the immortal body and the silent divine bow, the reincarnation avatar's strength was enough to defeat a Nirvana realm warrior who had comprehended the heaven and earth. If it was a warrior who had condensed the heaven and man realm of the unity of heaven and earth, the reincarnation avatar might not be able to defeat him. The reincarnation avatar fought 1 against 2, Dongfang Hua and Dongfang Qin. As for Longao, he fought against Dongfang Sheng. In just a few seconds, the battle had escalated. After continuous fierce battles, Longao was gradually unable to hold on. Although he could use the reincarnation sword light to break through the heaven and earth realm of the unity of heaven and man realm, the difference between the 2 of them was too great. Peng! With a loud sound, Longao's body was sent flying in an instant. If it were any other peak God Emperor realm warrior, just this punch alone would be enough to kill him. However, Longao's situation was very different. After his bloodline and body merged with the Black Tortoise armor, Longao's physical defense had become extremely strong. Even if he took Dongfang Sheng's punch directly, he did not die immediately. Dongfang Sheng was shocked. Looking at Black Wolf, who was only lightly injured in front of him, he was a little dumbfounded. Because he was very confident in his own strength, this punch was enough to kill Black Wolf. But what was the result? If he did not see it with his own eyes, even if he was beaten to death, he would not believe it. From the beginning to the end, Darkness did not make a move. He only observed with cold eyes, because he was also very curious about Black Wolf's true strength. He wanted to see how many secrets this person had. Since Black Wolf had a 9th level star god, he might have other treasures. Black Wolf, your physical defense is really not bad. But today, I want to see how you can block my attack. Dongfang Sheng suddenly laughed. He did not put the youth in front of him in his eyes at all. In his opinion, even if Black Wolf's defense was strong, the gap between them was very big. On the other side, the reincarnation doppelganger was fighting 1 against 2, fighting against Dongfang Hua and Dongfang Qin together. Not only was he not defeated, but he was also closing in step by step. The 2 of them hit the reincarnation doppelganger 100 times, but the reincarnation doppelganger did not have the slightest injury. But the reincarnation doppelganger only needed to hit the two of them once, and the two of them could not take it anymore. The more they fought, the more anxious they became. Whether it was Dongfang Hua or Dongfang Qin, the two of them really could not understand why Black Wolf's doppelganger was so strong. The two of them could clearly feel that the darkness doppelganger was only at the peak of the divine emperor realm. Not to mention 2 against 1, even if it was 1 against 1, under normal circumstances, any one of them could easily kill it. However, the two of them did not expect that the opponent's strength was so strong, especially his defensive power. It was abnormal to the point of defying the heavens. Not to mention 1 against 1, even if it was 2 against 1, according to this situation, the two of them would be defeated sooner or later. Even if they did not want to believe it, the fact was in front of them, and they had no choice but to believe it. Silent divine bow. In the end, the reincarnation doppelganger still used the silent divine bow. As for whether it could really kill the 2 Nirvana realm warriors, it was unknown. However, Longao had already made up his mind. Anyway, he and the Darkness City had already become enemies. If it was not their death, then one of them would die. In this case, Longao was ready to use the power of the reincarnation doppelganger to see if he could kill the 2 Nirvana realm warriors. After all, one death was one less, and the danger to himself would be less. Innate remarkable ability, Dragon Roar. Time kill technique. If it was under normal circumstances, Longao might not be able to lock the two of them with the help of the time kill technique and the innate divine ability. After all, the strength of the two of them was there. However, the situation was a little different now. The two of them were fighting with the reincarnation doppelganger, and their minds were in a mess. In this case, under the double locking of the time kill technique and the innate divine ability, the flow of time and space around the two of them were changed at the same time, and their bodies were locked. The once-in-a-lifetime opportunity had come. Longao was entangled with Dongfang Sheng, and it was not easy for him to get away. As for the reincarnation doppelganger, he seized the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He had already pulled the silent divine bow, and a terrifying arrow light was released, instantly enveloping the two of them. Under normal circumstances, even with the strength of the reincarnation doppelganger and the help of the silent divine bow, it would be impossible to kill the two of them. But now, the two of them were forcibly locked by Longao. Even if it was just for a second, it would be a disaster for the two of them. The result was already decided. The 2 arrow light shot by the silent divine bow enveloped Dongfang Hua and Dongfang Qin, and without the slightest resistance, the two of them had already disappeared without a trace. Time martial technique, space martial technique. The darkness doppelganger still did not take action, and his face was also a little surprised. Space martial technique was not bad. Although it was difficult to encounter, some experts could still practice space martial technique. Chapter 1586. Time Martial Arts. Darkness was not particularly sad about the space martial arts, but the time martial arts. Darkness was shocked, but at the same time, his face was full of greed. He knew very well that once he got the time martial arts, it would be of great help to him in the future. With the death of Dongfang Hua and Dongfang Qin, the reincarnation clone finally came out to help Longao deal with Dongfang Sheng. 2 against 1. Dongfang Sheng was a martial artist who had achieved unity of heaven and man. He was very strong. Even if Longao and the reincarnation clone worked together, it would be a fool's dream to kill Dongfang Sheng. No matter what. Comprehending heaven and earth and achieving unity of heaven and man were two different things. The gap between the two was too big. Sheng come back. Dongfang Sheng, who was in the middle of a fierce battle, heard the old ancestor calling him. Although he was a little unhappy, he did not dare to say anything. Old ancestor. Dongfang Sheng was very curious. He did not know why the old ancestor called him back at this time. Waving his hand, Darkness looked at the 2 Black Wolf in front of him and said with a smile, "Black Wolf, you really surprised me, really surprised me." Sneering, Longao did not speak. Space martial arts, time martial arts. What surprised me even more was that you actually came from a Long family. Innate divine ability, the symbol of a Long family. because in the entire Sky Martial continent, other than people with a Long family, no one could reproduce innate divine abilities. Longao still did not speak. Black Wolf, I really want your time martial arts. Before Darkness finished speaking, Longao spoke first. Darkness, cut the crap. You and I have to fight, there is no way to avoid it. You are also a person, why are you so hesitant? Arrogant. He had to admit that Longao was indeed too arrogant. Darkness was a genuine starry sky cultivator, and a level 6-1 at that. Even if his physical body was destroyed and his star spirit was damaged, his strength was still there. Not to mention a God Emperor martial artist, even a Nirvana martial artist would not dare to act like this in front of Darkness. He was respectful and pitiful. Except for Longao. From the beginning to the end, Longao did not take the Darkness seriously. Otherwise, he would not have acted like this, let alone made a move. For Yu Yin, he would not hesitate to climb a mountain of swords or plunge into a sea of fire. Longao had full confidence that as long as he was willing, he could find countless opportunities to leave the world of darkness. But he couldn't leave. Before Yu Yin's soul was resolved, no matter what happened, he could not leave the dark world. All right. This time, Dongfang Sheng did not make a move. Instead, it was Darkness who made a move. All of a sudden, boundless taboo energy rose up in the surroundings of the valley. Taboo energy swept across the valley, and the wind howled. Holding the Samsara sword tightly, Longao quickly ran the Samsara sword skill in his body. With a backhand swing of his sword, streaks of reincarnation sword light shot out. They were like streaks of lightning, one after another. The reincarnation sword light was endless, like a raging sea. Taboo energy was the most powerful energy in the world. Under the taboo energy, all were nonentities. If it were anyone else, no matter who it was, they would not be able to resist the taboo energy. Only Longao could. The streaks of reincarnation sword light, like a cutting machine, kept cutting the taboo energy around. Even though the taboo energy was powerful, it could not lock onto Longao. The more they fought, the more frightened and greedy they became. Seeing this situation, both Dongfang Sheng and Darkness knew very well that with Longao's strength, it was impossible for him to break the taboo power. There was only one explanation. That was, the reason why Black Wolf could continuously break the taboo energy was not because of Black Wolf's strength, but because of the magic sword in Black Wolf's hand. Such a magic sword was rare in the world. It would be a lie to say that they didn't want to get it. Darkness finally made a move. He took a step forward and came in front of Longao. Before he arrived, a huge palm shadow had already come. The most peculiar thing was that Darkness's target was not Black Wolf, but the magic sword in Black Wolf's hand. In an instant, Longao had already understood Darkness's intention. He cursed in his heart and did not dare to hesitate. With a spin, he used Heaven and Earth's sorrow. His whole body began to spin crazily. A huge vortex of air appeared around him. Without paying attention, Darkness was suddenly sucked into the vortex of air. Inside the vortex of air, Longao and Darkness instantly engaged in a great battle, exchanging blows back and forth. The battle was extremely enjoyable. Black Wolf, I have to admit that your courage is really good. However, I admire your talent more. Your talent can definitely be ranked in the top 10 since ancient times, but you have no chance. Darkness attacked again and again, not giving Longao the slightest chance. The strength of a Nirvana realm expert was not an existence that Longao could contend with. Even if Longao's physical defense was strong, he could not withstand Darkness's continuous attacks. If this continued, only death would await him. Longao did not dare to be careless because he knew very well that if he was careless in this battle, he would fall into eternal damnation. Peng! Longao's speed was still not a match for Darkness. Even if he repeatedly blocked, he was still hit by Darkness's 3 palms. After 3 palms, Longao's whole body was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. Then, the black vortex around him disappeared. He did not take advantage of the victory to pursue because in Darkness's opinion, he would definitely win this battle. It was only a matter of time. He did not believe that Black Wolf, who was sent flying by him, would have a chance to escape. Black Wolf, how do you feel? Longao forcibly turned around in the air. Although he landed steadily, he was still on the verge of collapse. If he did not forcibly stand firm, he would have fallen. Darkness was darkness. Even if his body was destroyed and his star spirit was damaged, his strength could not be underestimated. In front of this powerful warrior, Dongfang Sheng and the other two were simply trash. Longao's complexion was extremely pale. If it wasn't for his strong physical defense, Longao knew very well that he would have died from that move just now. It would be difficult for him to turn the tables in this battle. What should he do? After thinking about it, Longao still could not think of a better way. Not to mention himself, he believed that even his reincarnation doppelganger would not be able to withstand Black Wolf's continuous attacks. It was very difficult to use other things to make up for the absolute difference in cultivation level. Seeing that Black Wolf was not speaking, Darkness sneered in his heart. He said confidently, "Black Wolf, I will give you one last chance. Hand over the Starry Sky Hell Tiger, the level 9 star spirit, the divine sword in your hand, and the spatial and temporal martial techniques you just used. If you do, I will consider letting you go. Otherwise, next year today will be the anniversary of your death." Unless it was absolutely necessary, Darkness was not willing to be overbearing. Otherwise, if Black Wolf chose to self-destruct, wouldn't he get nothing? Chapter 1587. Darkness didn't care whether Black Wolf died or not. Darkness only cared about one thing, and that was to obtain everything on Black Wolf's body, including the grade 9 star god, Starry Sky Hell Tiger, divine sword, and the so-called time and space martial techniques. Just by looking at Darkness in front of him, Longao had already guessed what Darkness was thinking. He cursed in his heart. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen someone as shameless as Darkness. Darkness was shameless to the extreme. "Darkness, do you really want these things?" Darkness didn't speak, but the expression on his face told Longao everything. Not to mention Darkness, there weren't many people who could resist such temptation. "These things." Longao shook his head and continued, "In my opinion, they're all trash. I have something on me that you've never seen before. Even if you add everything together, it's still not worth it. Are you interested?" "I am very interested. Why don't you show it to me?" Without the slightest bit of carelessness, Darkness seemed to be very afraid of Longao in front of him. Because Hei Lang's innate talent and strength were right there, it was better to be safe than sorry. If Darkness were to play tricks with him, wouldn't he suffer a double loss? Looking at the Samsara sword in his hand, Longao said with a smile, "This Samsara sword is transformed from the Samsara disc. Darkness, do you know about the Samsara clan?" "Samsara clan?" Hearing Black Wolf's words, Darkness felt shocked. As a Starry Sky cultivator, and a grade 6 Starry Sky cultivator at that, how could Darkness not know about the Reincarnation clan? Not to mention Darkness, any Starry Sky cultivator would definitely know about the Reincarnation clan. "Black Wolf, you mean that the Samsara sword in your hand is the most precious treasure of the Samsara clan, the Samsara sword transformed from the Samsara disc?" However, Darkness was still in disbelief. The Reincarnation sword in Black Wolf's hand was the Reincarnation disc, the most precious treasure of the Reincarnation clan. No matter how much he did not want to believe it, Darkness kept telling himself that since things had already reached this stage, it was impossible for Black Wolf to trick him. If that was the case, then what Black Wolf had said earlier was not wrong at all. In front of the Lun clan's treasure, everything was like floating clouds, except for a level 9 star god. "Believe it or not, Darkness. If I give you this Samsara sword, will you release the divine soul taboo lock and let you go?" "No, because I don't believe your words." What a joke. If Darkness really chose to believe it, then he would really be a fool. This was because he really didn't dare to confirm whether the Samsara sword in Black Wolf's hand was the most precious treasure of the Samsara clan, the Samsara disc. Starry Sky cultivators, as everyone knew, the most valuable treasure of the Samsara clan was the Samsara disc, not the so-called Samsara sword. If what Black Wolf said was false, wouldn't he be in big trouble? Of course, Longao knew that Darkness would not believe him. After all, this was a little unbelievable. However, Longao's face was still indifferent as he said, "Darkness, what I just used was the sword art of the Reincarnation clan. The Reincarnation sword art combined with the Samsara sword released the Samsara sword light. Not to mention the domain of heaven and earth, even your taboo energy could be easily broken." The truth was in front of them. Just now, Longao had used the Samsara sword to break the taboo energy shield easily. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, neither Darkness nor Dongfang Sheng would have believed it. In this way, Darkness slowly began to believe it. Taking a step back, even if the Samsara sword in Black Wolf's hand was not the most precious treasure of the Samsara clan, the fact that Black Wolf could break the taboo energy shield with the help of the Samsara sword was enough to show how powerful the Samsara sword was. Darkness's face was full of greed. If he could get the Samsara sword, he believed that his strength would increase a lot. Darkness, according to legend, if you can get the Samsara disc, the most precious treasure of the Samsara clan, you can find the Samsara clan that has been lost for a long time. You can open the door to the Samsara clan and enter it. I believe I don't need to say more about what the Samsara clan means. If you can enter the Samsara clan with the help of the Samsara disc, you can get the Samsara inheritance. At that time, not to mention recovering from your injuries, even becoming a level 9 Starry Sky cultivator would not be a big deal. Putting all his eggs in one basket. If not for this, Longao would not have told Darkness about the Samsara disc. Black Wolf, even if I believe you for the time being, I will not agree to your request. I want the Samsara sword and the level 9 star god. Moreover, I can tell you a bad news that I have just decided. Darkness said with a sinister smile, "Black Wolf, I have decided not to let you go. If you cut the grass without removing the roots, it will grow again when the spring breeze comes. If you leave and find trouble with me in the future, won't I be looking for trouble?" F***ck, he cursed in his heart. Darkness, don't get carried away. I am not afraid to tell you that the reason I dared to come here is because of the Samsara sword in my hand. As long as I want, I can use the Samsara sword to break the space at any time and leave easily. At that time, I will have a lot of time to choose to break the restriction. Do you think you can leave the world of darkness? No one could leave the world of darkness, no matter who it was. Even the ancestor of the unfallen Darkness, could not do it unless he could recover to his peak strength. However, it was easier said than done for Darkness to recover to the level 6 Starry Sky realm and be reborn. Darkness could not do it even after tens of thousands of years. How could he do it in just a few years? Speaking of this, Darkness's face changed instantly. As the saying goes, it is better to believe it than not. If what the other party said was true, then it would be really troublesome. Are you afraid? Seeing that Darkness did not speak, Longao sneered and continued, "Darkness, you and I both take what we need. You just want the level 9 star god. I can give it to you, but I will not agree to other things. If you agree, we will start the exchange now. If not, I will leave immediately. At that time, you will be empty-handed. See if you regret it." After saying this, Longao did not continue. He just stood there quietly and waited. Longao was waiting for Darkness's answer because he knew very well that as long as Darkness was not a fool, he should agree to his conditions. Otherwise, even if there were 10,000 possibilities, Darkness would not be able to bear it. Sure enough. Darkness also kept silent and looked coldly at Black Wolf in front of him. Just as Longao had guessed, there was no room for any mistakes in this matter. This was because from Darkness's point of view, regardless of whether it was the level 9 star god, the Starry Sky Hell Tiger, the Reincarnation Sword, the Time Martial Technique or the Space Martial Technique, he was determined to obtain them all. The more Longao acted alone, the more uncertain Darkness was. Suddenly, Dongfang Sheng and Darkness disappeared. Outside the valley. "Old ancestor, we have to be careful of what Black Wolf said just now. Although we interfered with the spatial fluctuations before and Black Wolf was unable to use the spatial artifact to leave, since Black Wolf dared to come here this time, he should have something to rely on. If we act rashly and Black Wolf really leaves here, old ancestor will lose a lot of things." Darkness nodded. He was very clear about the meaning of Dongfang Sheng's words. Even so, what could he do? Although he was not afraid of Black Wolf with his strength, Darkness did not have the slightest bit of confidence. In his view, Black Wolf was too unpredictable. Who knew if what Black Wolf said was true or false? If it was true, what should he do? Only the level 9-star god? Darkness was reluctant to give up the other things, including the starry sky hell tiger. However, he was not willing to die together with Black Wolf. If he could obtain the level 9-star god, then not only could he recover from his injuries, he could even use the level 9-star god to break through to the level 7 starry sky cultivator realm, or even the level 8 starry sky cultivator realm. Such a temptation was irresistible to any cultivator. Sheng if it were you, what would you choose? 30%, Dongfang Sheng said honestly. In his view, since Darkness dared to come in so rashly and fearlessly, he must have something to rely on. If that was the case, once Black Wolf used the Samsara sword to break open the space and leave, not to mention everything, he would not even get a single thing. In the end, he would be empty-handed and would not even have a chance to regret. Only 30%. Darkness shook his head helplessly and said, I don't believe that I will be led by the nose by Black Wolf. In the valley. Longao was still standing quietly in the valley, surrounded by the forbidden power and disturbed by the spatial fluctuations. Not to mention using the spatial teleportation, even entering the dragon seal space was a problem. As for what he had just said, it was absolutely true. Longao now had two treasures on him, the space-time wheel. Once he forcefully used it, he could forcibly break open the space-time and arrive at another place from one place in an instant. However, with Longao's current strength, he could not forcefully use it. Otherwise, if he was unlucky, he would be in great trouble. As for the Samsara sword, Longao had sensed it not long ago. The Samsara sword could actually break open the space-time. Although it was also dangerous, it was much less dangerous than the space-time wheel. However, even so, Longao would not casually use the Samsara sword to break open the space-time and leave before he was fully confident. What Longao said just now was that he had already decided. If Darkness was really unwilling, he would leave with the help of the Samsara sword. At most, he would think of another way to break the divine soul taboo lock. Because he knew that even if he stayed, it would be a little difficult to deal with Darkness. Another reason why Longao made such a decision was that he was afraid that Darkness would play some tricks. Because Darkness had set up a taboo lock on Yu Yin's spirit, who knew if Darkness would attack. If he was unlucky and Yu Yin's spirit was damaged, he would be in great trouble. In any case, he could not let anything happen to Yu Yin. Chapter 1588. Gamble. In fact, both of them were gambling. Once they won, they could get what they wanted. Darkness thought about it and finally decided to take the risk. In the valley. Suddenly, the taboo energy in the surroundings began to attack in a frenzy. Wave after wave, it surged forward in an endless stream. There was no surprise. Longao had guessed that Darkness would definitely take action. Man's desires were limitless, even in the darkness. Extremely calm, Longao held the Samsara sword tightly, operated the Samsara sword technique, and directly waved the Samsara sword light. With Longao's strength, it was impossible for him to be Darkness's opponent, but it was impossible for Darkness to use the forbidden power to imprison Longao. The power of the Samsara sword light was there, even if it was the forbidden power, it could still break it. Leave now. Or continue to stay. Longao knew very well that once he left, not to mention whether he could leave the dark world, what would happen to Yu Yin's divine soul? Could it be that Yu Yin's divine soul had always been locked by the forbidden power? It was impossible. If he did not care, he believed that he would have left the dark world by now. Why wait until now? If he did not leave, as long as Darkness did not want to, it would be difficult for Darkness to break the forbidden power in the divine soul. For a while, Longao found it difficult to make a choice. Even if he left the valley, it was impossible to leave the dark world. In other words, as long as the forbidden power in Yu Yin's divine soul was not broken, he certainly could not leave. While resisting the forbidden power around, in his mind, he kept thinking of various ways to break the forbidden power in Yu Yin's divine soul. Darkness was a 6th-level starry sky cultivator. To break the forbidden power in the divine soul, it needed to be at least a 6th-level starry sky cultivator, and its strength was above darkness. Where could such a super expert be found in the Tianwu continent? Black Wolf, I'd like to see how you self-destruct today. Black Wolf finally chose to take action and asserted. Black Wolf did not dare to self-destruct, because once he chose to self-destruct, not only would he die immediately, but even his divine soul would not be able to enter the samsara path. Black Wolf won the bet. Longao would never choose to self-destruct. Longao took a step forward and arrived at the left side of the valley. He slashed out with his sword, and the reincarnation sword light followed the momentum. Rumble. The sword chime resounded throughout the entire valley. Dongfang Sheng had never thought that Black Wolf would be able to lock onto his exact location. If he had not sensed it himself, he would not have believed it. Dongfang Sheng appeared, but he did not attack. Dongfang Sheng wasn't a fool. Although the other party wasn't a match for him, Dongfang Sheng knew that he wouldn't be able to kill the other party even if he relied on his strength as a nirvana martialist. Although Dongfang Sheng did not want to believe it, the truth was right in front of him. He had no choice but to believe it. Darkness followed. The palm chopped out. It came so suddenly that even Longao was similarly taken aback. He hurriedly dodged, but Darkness's speed was too fast. Longao couldn't dodge in time and was hit by the palm strike. He was sent flying. In mid-air, Longao was forced to stop spinning. He was already injured, but his face turned pale. It took him a lot of effort to stabilize his body. Darkness's current strength was only equivalent to a nirvana martialist. Otherwise, if Darkness was at his peak strength, even if Longao's physical defense was very strong, it would be impossible for him to withstand the palm strike of a level 6 starry sky cultivator. Still not dead. Darkness was shocked to the extreme when he saw Black Wolf withstand his palm strike and fail to kill Black Wolf twice. How could a puny god emperor martialist have such a strong physical defense? It was unbelievable. In Darkness's view, not to mention a puny god emperor, even a nirvana rebirth martialist would not have such a terrifying physical defense. It was unbelievable. Black Wolf, take 3 of my palms. Darkness's figure suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared, his body had split into 3. The 3 figures attacked Longao at the same time from different directions. A starry sky cultivator was indeed a starry sky cultivator. Even in the current situation, the power of Darkness's attack was no small matter. Retreating again and again, Longao didn't even have a chance to fight back. Longao knew very well that Darkness's current attack was Darkness's true strength. He believed that Darkness had shown mercy and wanted him to take the initiative to hand over all kinds of things. The absolute difference in cultivation realm made Longao unable to fight back. Darkness's speed was too fast, especially when he split into 3. Before Longao could react, Darkness had already struck him with 3 palms. The 3 strongest palms, the power of these 3 palms could be imagined. Poochie. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Longao's body half knelt on the ground. Returning to his original position, Darkness looked at the young man in front of him with a sneer. In Darkness's view, it would be unbelievable if Black Wolf didn't die after 3 consecutive palms. Dongfang Sheng's face suddenly lit up with joy. Just as Dongfang Sheng took a step forward and was about to grab Longao, Longao, who was on the verge of death, stood up again. His face was pale, but there was a trace of indifference in his paleness. It seemed that he didn't care about his injury. Black Wolf, you. Looking at Black Wolf, who was still alive, both Dongfang Sheng and Darkness were shocked and in disbelief. The two couldn't figure out how Black Wolf's body could be so strong. Could it be that he had a defensive divine artifact? Among the divine artifacts, including the Starry Sky divine artifacts, the most powerful and rare divine artifacts were the Space divine artifacts and the Time divine artifacts. Especially the Time divine artifacts, they were 1 in a million. One might not even appear in 10,000 years. Even Darkness, who was a level 6 Starry Sky cultivator, didn't have a Time divine artifact. He didn't even have a Space divine artifact. It was because of this that Darkness was surprised that a puny Emperor God warrior had a space divine artifact and could use space and time martial techniques. In addition, as Hei Lang was able to continuously block his attacks, Darkness had already guessed that Hei Lang must have a defensive divine artifact on him. Although a defensive divine artifact was not as powerful as a spatial or time divine artifact, it was still very useful to a warrior. A terrifying defensive divine artifact could withstand the continuous attacks of high-level warriors. Just like now, even Darkness' continuous attacks couldn't break Black Wolf's defense. What if he could get his hands on this defensive divine artifact? Thinking of this, Darkness's face was filled with greed. After a long period of contact, he found that Black Wolf had a lot of treasures on him. Chapter 1589. Defensive Legendary Weapon. This was a treasure that Darkness had been dreaming of obtaining. As long as he could kill Black Wolf, he would be able to obtain everything. At the thought of this, Darkness did not hesitate any longer. With a single step, he darted out. Darkness's speed was way too fast. Even though Longao was prepared for this, he was still struck continuously. The palm shadows were endless. The more he fought, the more severe his injuries became. No matter how strong his physical defense was, he could not withstand such a relentless barrage of attacks. Even if the godly mathematician were here personally, he might not be able to defend against this, let alone Longao. Spitting out fresh blood, Longao could barely stand up. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Looking at Black Wolf who was about to fall, Darkness suddenly burst out laughing maniacally. Time martial arts. Space martial arts. Defensive legendary weapon. Level 9 Star God. Starry Sky Hell Tiger. All of these were things that he had been dreaming of obtaining. If this were any other time, he would be so excited that he would not be able to sleep at night if he were to obtain any one of these things. Black Wolf was dead for sure. Longao, if I were to help you with all my strength, you should be able to kill Darkness. Hearing Xiling's voice, Longao was not surprised at all. He had already guessed it. Xiling was a level 9 star Genling. Even if his true body was destroyed and his star god was damaged, his strength would still be extremely frightening the moment he went berserk. Longao did not reply. Similarly, Longao did not reply. Longao was no fool. If Xiling could destroy Darkness, he would have done so long ago. Why would he be wasting time here? If Xiling were to cause him to fall into an irrecoverable state because of his help, how would Longao face him in the future? Master, I can help you kill Darkness and obtain his legacy. Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was elated. However, what Long Fu said next made Longao, who had just been pleasantly surprised, instantly fall to the bottom. According to Long Fu's words, back then, the dragon seal had borrowed its powerful might to forcefully suppress the blood pool. However, after so many years, the blood pool's power had grown stronger while the dragon seal's seal had grown weaker. The dragon seal was unable to obtain power from the outside world. Sooner or later, the blood pool would break the dragon seal and leave the dragon seal space. Long Fu's meaning was very simple. Given the current situation, the dragon seal could only last for about a year at most. Since that was the case, it was better to leave earlier than later. As long as the blood pool was gone, the power of the dragon seal could be concentrated. A one-time attack was more than enough to deal with the Darkness. Accept. Reject. Longao knew very well just how big of a threat the blood pool was. Once the blood pool was reborn, the Martial Heaven continent would be plunged into an abyss of misery. Even if blood flowed like rivers and corpses littered the land, it wouldn't be difficult. He gritted his teeth. For himself and Yu Yin, Longao decided to take the risk. Long Fu, let's do as you say. All right. Master, no matter when, I will do my best to help you. Seeming to have thought of something, Long Fu continued, Master, even if the blood pool leaves, with the current strength of the dragon seal, it can at most attack once. As for whether it can do it the next time, I dare not be certain. I understand. Since things had already reached this point, there had to be a choice. Within the mountain valley, looking at the black wolf that was about to fall, the Darkness was excited to the extreme. Thinking that it would soon be able to obtain all the treasures, the darkness couldn't even wait a moment longer. Kill. Killing intent surged. Since the battle had already reached this point, the darkness didn't continue to dawdle. With a stride, it arrived in front of Black Wolf and attacked with all its power, gathering all its power into its fists. Not only that. This time, in order to be able to kill Black Wolf in one blow, the darkness had even borrowed Dongfang Sheng's power. In the darkness's view, if this punch still couldn't deal with Black Wolf, it could just kill itself. Black Wolf didn't move. Could it be that Black Wolf had chosen to give up? Looking at the situation, both of them smiled at one another. But before they could finish laughing, an unparalleled bloody aura burst forth from Longao's body, causing both of their faces to change. Old Master, save me. Realizing that his body had been locked down, Dongfang Sheng was shocked as his face was filled with fear. But under such circumstances, the darkness couldn't even take care of itself. How could it help Dongfang Sheng? Long Fu withdrew all of his power. The blood pool, which was already ready to move, suddenly exploded with a blood-colored light. Following a maniacal laugh, the blood pool turned into a blood-colored shadow and disappeared from the dragon seal space. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. 10,000 years. After 10,000 years, I, the blood demon, am finally out. Ha ha ha. Looking at the bloody shadow laughing maniacally in the 9 heavens, be it the darkness, Dongfang Sheng, or Longao, all of them were shocked. This was especially so for Longao. He knew who the bloody shadow was. The blood demon, or the original body of the blood pool. Whoosh. As the blood pool broke out of the seal, the blood demon sucked away the little rat in its body, the weapon spirit of the blood pool. As for whether it would devour it or not, that was up to the blood demon himself. However, Longao was sure of one thing. That was, once the blood devil and the tool spirit merged into one, the strength of the blood devil would become even more powerful. Fortunately, the blood devil had been sealed for 10,000 years. Otherwise, just one look from the blood devil would be enough to kill him. Long Fu had yet to reveal the strength of the blood demon. But Longao was sure that the blood demon who had just broken out of the seal was at least a level 9-star cultivator. In fact, he might not be any weaker than the godly mathematician. Dragon Seal, you've sealed me for 10,000 years. Even though your original body has fallen, I'll still destroy your foundation. Just you wait, ha 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 ha. With a maniacal laugh, the bloody shadow disappeared suddenly. Turning into a blood-red light spot, it disappeared without a trace. Black Wolf. Before the darkness could speak, a small black seal shot out from within Longao's dantian. Carved on it was a lifelike dragon. The dragon seal floated silently before Longao. The dragon seal did not continue to seal the blood pool. Now that it had regained some of its strength, it was more than enough to deal with the darkness. Darkness, I'll let you know the difference between us. Longao communicated with the dragon seal. Instantly, a horrifying aura burst forth from the dragon seal, shrouding the darkness and Dongfang Sheng. Perhaps it was because Dongfang Sheng was too weak, but the moment the aura shrouded him, Dongfang Sheng's body disappeared without a trace. In fact, not even his soul was left behind. Both his body and soul were destroyed, disappearing into thin air. Black Wolf, you can't kill me. F***CK. Lin Fan scolded out harshly. Things had already come to this, and the darkness was still so shameless. Was he going to show mercy? If one did not remove the roots of the weeds, they would grow back again. Chapter 1590. It's too late. Darkness had to kill him. Black Wolf, if you kill me, you'll never be able to break the taboo lock in my divine soul. Is that so? Looking at Black Wolf's confident face, Darkness's heart skipped a beat. Black Wolf was so confident. Was Black Wolf confident that he could break the taboo lock in his divine soul? It shouldn't be. It was also impossible. Darkness had full confidence in the taboo lock he had set up. Unless someone was stronger than him, it was impossible to break the taboo lock he had set up. The calmer Longao appeared, the more uncertain Darkness became. If Black Wolf really broke the taboo lock, wouldn't Darkness lose his trump card? Without further ado, Darkness turned around and prepared to leave. But would Longao let Darkness leave? Long Fu mobilized all the power of the dragon seal. The whole black seal began to spin wildly. The faster it spun, the stronger the light it emitted. Ah! With a scream, Darkness's spiritual consciousness was obliterated, leaving only the starry sky inheritance. Putting the Darkness inheritance into the dragon seal space, Longao asked somewhat impatiently, Long Fu, can you break the taboo lock in your divine soul? Darkness nodded. Master, the blood pool has broken out of the seal. Although the dragon seal's power is not enough to contend against a starry sky cultivator, it's more than enough to break Darkness's taboo lock. Hearing this, Longao finally breathed a sigh of relief. Yu Yin's matter had been settled. The only thing left was to deal with the blood pool, which was the blood demon. The blood pool had broken out of the seal and the world was in chaos. Even he was afraid that he would be the first person the blood demon would seek revenge on. After all, he was the new master of the dragon seal. Long Fu, tell me the truth. How long will it take for the blood demon to return to the starry sky realm? When will he be able to return to his peak state? I don't know. Long Fu also had a helpless look on his face because he really didn't know. If the dragon seal's original body was here, he might know how long it would take for the blood demon to return to his peak strength. Master, the blood demon shouldn't appear for the time being, but we should make plans. He nodded. The blood demon had reappeared in the human world. This was going to be troublesome. He didn't continue to dwell on the issue of the blood demon. Since it had already happened, he could only deal with whatever came his way. After successfully resolving the matter with Yu Yin, Longao didn't want to stay any longer. But before he left, there was one more thing he needed to do. Unfallen Darkness, headquarters. In the small courtyard, the environment was elegant. Dongfang Yu sat alone on a stone bench. Dongfang Yu, your father is dead. Darkness is dead. Even the two elders are dead. Looking at the young man who had suddenly appeared in front of her, especially after hearing what Darkness had just said, Dongfang Yu was shocked. After a brief moment of shock, Dongfang Yu calmed down. Black Wolf, I will take revenge. As you wish. Longao did not stop Dongfang Yu from committing suicide. If this matter had happened outside, Dongfang Yu's soul might have had a chance to enter the Tao of reincarnation. In the world of Darkness, there were powerful seals and restrictions. It was almost impossible for Dongfang Yu to successfully reincarnate. Outside the Dark Realm. In a small courtyard in a shabby town. Hades was pleasantly surprised by Longao's smooth return. At the same time, she was a little surprised because she knew what the world of Darkness meant. Since Longao could come back smoothly, it seemed that Longao was not simple. Without saying much nonsense, Longao immediately put his soul into Yu Yin's body. Longao, it will take about 3 days for Yu Yin to wake up. What happened to you in the world of Darkness? Longao did not hide anything from the underworld god because he could clearly sense that the underworld god did not have the slightest murderous intent towards him. Instead, there was a strange feeling. It seemed that the underworld god loved the house and its crow. He roughly told her what happened in the world of Darkness this time. After hearing this, the underworld god's expression changed again and again. She had never thought that not only did the underworld god have an existence at the peak of martial arts, but that this expert was actually still alive. Longao's luck had been good. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for him to leave the world of Darkness. Longao, I've never heard of the matter of the blood devil and the dragon seal. However, if you have time, you can go to the Crystal Palace in the Outer Sea and ask the Divine Diviner. In the martial heaven continent, only the heavenly Taos and the Divine Diviner should know about this. That's exactly what I was thinking. However, according to what you said, the blood devil is far stronger than the unfalling Darkness. Furthermore, the blood devil and the dragon seal have a life and death enmity. Once the blood devil recovers, the first person he will target will be you. How are you going to deal with him? How was he going to deal with him? The blood devil was even more dangerous than the heavenly Taos. With his current strength, facing the blood devil was simply a path to death. I also don't know. I can only take one step at a time. Senior, Now that Yu Yin is awake, what are you going to do? I'm old, and I don't want to continue like this. After so many years, Yu Yin is the only family I have. If you don't mind, once Yu Yin wakes up, I'm going to bring Yu Yin to the Dragon Valley. From then on, we'll live in seclusion there. F***ck, Longao was extremely excited in his heart. The Dragon Valley now had the Crimson Praying Mantis and the Crimson Spider guarding it. If the underworld god could go to the Dragon Valley, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. One had to know that Hades was a genuine Nirvana cultivator. Unless a Nirvana rebirth cultivator personally came, Hades would be the strongest cultivator in the continent. With such a super powerhouse guarding the Dragon Valley, even if there were 10 forces, they wouldn't be able to touch the Dragon Valley. There were only 9 months left until the 1-year agreement, and he was still at the peak of the Divine Emperor realm. Although Long Fu was confident that he could break through to the Nirvana realm in the remaining time, what if he couldn't? Longao had already thought it through. If he still couldn't break through to the Nirvana realm by the end of the 1-year agreement, then he would go all out to deal with the 3 superpowers. No matter what, he had to protect the Dragon Valley. Now that Hades was guarding the Dragon Valley, he felt more at ease. Thank you, Senior. Longao knew very well that Hades was willing to live in seclusion in the Dragon Valley not because of him or anyone else, but because of Yu Yin. Looking at the unconscious Yu Yin lying on the bed in front of him, Longao suddenly thought of Bai Ling. Yu Yin would wake up in 3 days, but what about Bai Ling? She would need a few more days to wake up. Longao sighed deeply at the thought of this. There was a deep sense of helplessness in his heart. Whether it was Yu Yin or Bai Ling, they were his confidants. They were the most important people in his life, and nothing could happen to them. Chapter 1591. 3 days later. Yu Yin woke up. Apart from her slightly pale face, she was fine. This time, Yu Yin entered the world of darkness and went through a life and death experience. Her cultivation had successfully broken through the cycle reproduction. That was to say, Yu Yin now had a primordial spirit. The primordial spirit was above the divine soul. Seeing the person she loved, Yu Yin was, of course, very excited. The two were affectionate for 3 days and 3 nights. During this time, Hades did not disturb them. In the courtyard. You young people love so vigorously. It seems that I am still old. Master. Hearing her master teasing her, Yu Yin blushed. She did not want to be a Nirvana realm martial artist who had broken through the cycle reproduction. Thank you, Master. Hades knew very well what his disciple was thanking him for. Shaking his head helplessly, Hades did not say anything. The 3 of them immediately got up and left the Western continent for the Jojo continent. Yu Yin and Longao both knew that Hades was actually very conflicted in his heart. No matter what, Hades was still a member of the Martial Artists Alliance. On the way. Longao, since you have obtained the inheritance of darkness, what are you going to do with it? As soon as Hades asked, Longao already knew what Hades meant. To tell the truth. Senior, I don't intend to let Yu Yin inherit the inheritance. I have already told you before that devouring the origin energy, including the inheritance, and reproducing the origin energy to break through the starry sky realm are 2 completely different concepts. Although that is the case, I believe you should know that all the origin energy of the Tianwu continent has been sealed for so many years. It is easier said than done to comprehend the origin energy. How could Longao not know about Hades's worries? To reproduce the origin energy, one must first comprehend the origin energy. If this had happened 10,000 years ago, the probability of successfully reproducing the origin energy would have been greatly increased. But now, as everyone knew, all the origin energy of the Tianwu continent had been sealed by the heavenly Tao. Not to mention the ability to reproduce the power of origin, was it even possible to sense the power of origin? Since he couldn't reproduce, he might as well devour the origin energy or inherit the inheritance of the stars. Hades was almost certain that as long as Yu Yin could inherit the starry sky inheritance, she would have a 99% chance of successfully breaking through to the starry sky realm once she broke through to the Nirvana rebirth realm. Once they broke through to the starry sky realm, Their disciples would become the overlords of the martial heaven continent. Just the thought of cultivating a starry sky powerhouse with his own hands made him excited. Yu Yin smiled. Master, I want to reproduce my own origin energy. Hades glared fiercely at Longao. Since his disciple had said so, Hades could only sigh helplessly in his heart. 4 days later. With their speed, 4 days was enough for them to rush back to the 9 continents from the western continent. Within the Dragon Valley, Yu Yin's successful return caused everyone in the Wang family to be pleasantly surprised. The members of the Wang clan were no fools. The reason why they were able to become the most powerful clan in the Jojo continent under the protection of the Dragon Valley was all because of Yu Yin. If it weren't for Yu Yin, would the Wang clan be where it was now? It was just a joke. If Yu Yin was fine, the Wang family would be fine. Longao returned to the family and had a good chat with his parents. He then asked about his big brother. Now that Long Ying had inherited Tian Chen's Starry Sky inheritance, she would be the first Starry Sky cultivator of the Dragon Valley. At that time, other than the Heavenly Tao and the Divine Mathematician, no one would dare to casually provoke the Dragon Valley. This was the deterrence of a Starry Sky cultivator. However, Longao also knew that the Heavenly Tao couldn't know that his big brother had inherited the Starry Sky inheritance. Longao wasn't sure if the Divine Mathematician would take action, but once the Heavenly Tao knew, it would definitely take action. Just like 10,000 years ago, in order to eliminate all obstacles, the Heavenly Tao didn't hesitate to kill all the Starry Sky cultivators and seal the entire Sky Martial continent. If it weren't for the Divine Mathematician's strength being higher than the Heavenly Tao, Longao could almost be sure that even the Divine Mathematician wouldn't be spared. The Divine Mathematician was a level 9 Starry Sky cultivator. The Heavenly Tao was only a level 8 Starry Sky cultivator. The gap between the two was very big. Without full confidence, the Heavenly Tao would definitely not act rashly. Until now, Longao still couldn't figure out a problem. With the Divine Mathematician's level 9 Starry Sky strength, it would be a simple matter to kill the Heavenly Tao. In that case, why didn't the Divine Mathematician take action and give the entire Sky Martial continent to the Heavenly Tao? Forget about this. 10,000 years ago, the Heavenly Tao kept killing the Starry Sky cultivators and sealed all the origin power, but the Divine Mathematician still didn't take action. What was the reason? After thinking about it, Longao finally came up with a bold guess. Could it be that 10,000 years ago, the Divine Mathematician tacitly agreed with the Heavenly Tao's actions? Apart from this possibility, Longao really couldn't figure out what else could make the Divine Mathematician not take action. If his guess was correct, then once his big brother devoured the inheritance and his cultivation broke through to the Starry Sky, wouldn't it be very dangerous? Aoa, do you have something on your mind? Shaking his head, Longao didn't tell his grandfather about his guess. If it was anything else, then it wouldn't matter. But this matter, because Longao was very clear that if it was as he guessed, then this matter would be very troublesome. If the Divine Mathematician and the Heavenly Tao were in cahoots, then who in the Sky Martial continent could be a match for them? If one came, they would kill one. If two came, they would destroy two. Grandfather, this time I went to the Western Domain continent, my luck was pretty good. I accidentally obtained the inheritance of a Starry Sky cultivator. It was different from the inheritance that my big brother devoured. The inheritance I obtained this time was from a level 6 Starry Sky cultivator. Ah! Longao jumped in fright. Through Longao's explanation, Longao now understood what a Starry Sky cultivator was, especially a level 6 one. Although his grandson had spoken so calmly, Longao was old and experienced. How could he not know that his grandson had obtained a Starry Sky inheritance by accident? The dangers involved were definitely unknown. Longao did not say anything, and Longao did not ask further. He only sighed incomparably in his heart. Ever since his grandson rose to prominence, life and death situations had been constant. Every time, it was a narrow escape. If he was slightly careless, he would fall into a state of eternal damnation. Aoa, are you not going to devour the Starry Sky inheritance this time? What Longao wanted the most was for his grandson to devour the Starry Sky inheritance. However, he was very clear about Aoer's character. If he had been willing to devour the Starry Sky inheritance, he wouldn't have waited until now. A few days ago, Aoer could have devoured the Starry Sky inheritance. Why would he give it to his big brother for free? Chapter 1592. Nodded. Longao did not have the slightest interest in any martial artist's inheritance. If he wanted to get an inheritance, he didn't know how many opportunities he had. At least, the last Starry Sky inheritance from Tian Chen was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Grandfather, I have decided that no matter what difficulties I face, I will reproduce the origin power by myself. There was no further explanation. Longao was very clear about his grandson's character. Aoer, who do you plan to give the Dark Starry Sky inheritance to? Tian Chen's Starry Sky inheritance had been given to Long Ying. In Longao's view, the Starry Sky inheritance must be given to his own people, or even to his own family. The Starry Sky inheritance was something that every martial artist dreamed of getting. Grandfather, Big Brother has already obtained the Starry Sky inheritance. As for the Dark Starry Sky inheritance, I am not going to give it to anyone else. Longao did not speak. Because in his view, he had no right to control the Dark Starry Sky inheritance. In other words, Aoer said that the Dark Starry Sky inheritance could be given to anyone. After all, Aoer had gone through a lot to obtain the Starry Sky inheritance. Grandfather, I am going to let you inherit the Dark Starry Sky inheritance. On this point, Longao had already thought about it and decided on it. Hearing his grandson's words, Longao's face changed. He really did not expect that his grandson would make such a decision. The Starry Sky inheritance could be said to be the most precious thing in the world. It would be a lie to say that he didn't want to get it. Including Longao, under such temptation, it was really difficult to resist. Aoer, with my talent, can I inherit the Starry Sky inheritance? Longao was still a little worried, because even if he got the inheritance, he might not be able to break through the strength of the original body. In other words, the original body of the Dark Starry Sky was a level 6 Starry Sky cultivator. If one's talent was not good, even if he swallowed the Starry Sky inheritance, it was still unknown whether he could reach the level 4 or even level 5 Starry Sky cultivator realm. How could Longao not know about his grandfather's worries? He smiled. Grandfather, if it were other Starry Sky inheritance, maybe you would be in the same situation. However, I have already refined the Dark Starry Sky inheritance. Grandfather, even if you can't break through the level 6 Starry Sky cultivator realm, as long as you can break through the Starry Sky realm, even if it's level 1 Starry Sky cultivator realm, it's worth it. He thought for a moment. Longao felt that his grandson was right. In his opinion, whether it was a grade 1 Starry Sky cultivator or a grade 6 Starry Sky cultivator, they were all the same to him, at least for now. Whether it was a grade 1 Starry Sky cultivator or a grade 6 Starry Sky cultivator, they were all unreachable existences. If that's the case, I'll devour the Starry Sky inheritance. He was pleasantly surprised to the extreme. He did as he said. Both Longao and Longao were extremely anxious. The reason was simple. The earlier Longao devoured, the earlier he could break through to the Starry Sky realm and become a Starry Sky cultivator, which was undoubtedly a great thing for the Dragon Valley. After his grandfather and big brother devoured the Star inheritance and went into seclusion, the Dragon Valley was without a leader. This was because Longao had only returned to the Dragon Valley temporarily, and no one knew when he would leave. He had to find a new manager for the Dragon Valley immediately. After much consideration, Longao finally decided to let his father take over the Dragon Valley in place of his grandfather. Aoer, what exactly happened to your grandfather? Longao knew very well that it was impossible to hide this matter from his father. Otherwise, he would not know how to answer his father's question. In the end, Longao still gave a rough account of the matter in full detail. After listening, Long Yi was also shocked. He did not expect that in just a few months, his son would obtain the Starry Sky inheritance. In other words, As long as the time was up, the Dragon Valley would have 2 more peak martial Dao experts. If that was really the case, who else in the Sky Martial continent would be a match for the Dragon Valley except for the godly mathematician and the heavenly Dao? Perhaps even the 10 Cardinal Tripod would not dare to provoke the Dragon Valley. Leave the Dragon Valley to me, nothing will happen. However, try to keep the matter of your grandfather and big brother a secret. How could Longao not know what his father meant? Once the heavenly Dao knew about this, the first person to deal with the Dragon Valley would definitely be the heavenly Dao. If he were in the heavenly Dao's shoes, he would also not want other starry sky cultivators to appear in the Sky Martial continent. Most likely, he would kill everyone he saw. No matter what happened, the matter of his grandfather and big brother obtaining the starry sky inheritance could not be leaked. Longao went into seclusion to devour the starry sky inheritance. Soon after, Long Yi became the leader of the Long family. To the Dragon Valley, it did not matter whether it was Longao or Long Yi who was in charge because Longao and Long Yi were father and son. With the Purple Thunder sect and Black Heaven sect's retreat, the Dragon Valley began to develop again. In just a few months, with the help of the Sword sect, the Dragon Valley developed rapidly. With the addition of the Crimson Spider and the Crimson Mantis, as well as the Hades, the Dragon Valley was no longer the same as before. Even if it could not contend against the 10 Cardinal Tripod, it should be able to dominate the 9 states continent among the second-rate forces. In other words, unless the 10 Cardinal Tripod personally took action, no one would dare to enter the 9 states continent. No one would dare to provoke the Dragon Valley. This was the current power of the Dragon Valley. This time, Longao didn't immediately leave the Dragon Valley. Instead, he planned to stay for a while longer to accompany his family and loved ones. As his cultivation base continued to rise, Longao found that he would encounter more and more dangers. No one knew if he would still be alive in the next moment. Big Brother Long, are you planning to leave the Dragon Valley? Hearing that Longao was about to leave, Yu Yin was worried. The Martial Heaven continent was filled with danger, especially with the enmity between Longao and the 3 superpowers. The slightest carelessness could lead to eternal damnation. Yu Yin naturally didn't want Longao to leave. After all, it was enough for him to be the overlord of the 9 states continent. Why should he go to the Martial Heaven continent? Yu Yin, there are some things I must do. Don't worry, I will protect myself well. I won't let myself be in any danger. So what if he believed her? If something happened, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. Sighing deeply, Yu Yin said, Big Brother Long, since you insist on leaving, I have a condition. You have to take me with you. I have already comprehended the Heaven Cycle multiplication technique. Ordinary cultivators aren't my match. If I follow you, I can help you with many things. I don't want you to abandon me, okay? Chapter 1593. Yu Yin's strength was enough to do whatever she wanted in the Sky Martial continent. But even so, Longao would not let Yu Yin follow him. Longao was no longer the same as before with regards to the situation in the Sky Martial continent. Not to mention the hidden starry sky martial artists and the heavenly Dao, just the Nirvana martial artists alone could kill Yu Yin. It did not matter if he was in danger, but he could not let Yu Yin take the risk with him. Yu Yin, if you don't want me to worry, don't be so willful. Looking at the lover in front of him, Yu Yin wanted to say something, but in the end, she did not say anything and swallowed it back. If you don't leave me, I will be with you in life and death. Be careful, I will wait for your return. He nodded. Dragon Valley Back Mountain Forbidden Grounds, an extremely secluded place. Longao sat on the ground and cultivated quietly. Strength was everything. Longao mainly cultivated the 9-cycle reincarnation technique. He had already successfully broken through to the 4th cycle, but there were still 5 cycles left. Longao was filled with anticipation for the 9-cycle reincarnation technique that he cultivated. First cycle of reincarnation, not entering the Yellow Springs. Second cycle of reincarnation, spatial teleportation. Third cycle of reincarnation, reincarnation clone. Fourth cycle of reincarnation, reincarnation heavenly eye. What kind of divine ability would the fifth cycle produce? Other than cultivating the 9-cycle reincarnation technique, Longao cultivated even more diligently so that he could break through his current realm in the shortest time possible. His cultivation had already broken through to the peak God Emperor realm. Once he broke through, he would be able to reach the Nirvana realm. There were still 9 months before the 1-year agreement. According to Long Fu, in the remaining 9 months, even if he had the chance to break through to the Nirvana realm, he should not do so. The reason was simple. His cultivation speed was too fast. If he continued to cultivate like this, his foundation would not be stable. Once he broke through to the Nirvana realm, it might not be a good thing. There was only one thing that Longao was worried about. If he missed the chance to break through to the Nirvana realm 9 months later, when his cultivation had completely stabilized and he did not have the chance to break through, wouldn't he suffer a huge loss? He was in a dilemma. After thinking for a long time, in the end, Longao still decided to believe in Long Fu and stabilize his cultivation first. Even if he had the chance to break through to the Nirvana realm, he definitely couldn't break through. Longao, what do you plan to do next? Xiling's figure suddenly appeared. What should he do? I still have a 1-year agreement with the 3 super forces. There are about 9 months left. I plan to use the remaining time to stabilize my realm. After 9 months, I will try to break through to the Nirvana realm. This was an urgent matter. Longao was very clear in his heart that if he was unable to break through to the Nirvana realm after 9 months, how would he deal with the 3 super forces? Even if his cultivation had broken through to the Nirvana realm, he might not be able to contend against the 3 super forces. At the very least, his chances of success would be higher. Longao, the situation in the Tianwu continent is becoming more and more complicated. At this point, Xiling did not continue. However, Longao understood the meaning behind his words. It was somewhat solemn. And somewhat sighed. Longao already knew what Xiling had said. Longao was very curious. He did not know why Xiling suddenly mentioned this. Could there be another meaning behind Xiling's words? Xiling seemed to be able to guess Longao's thoughts. After thinking for a while, he said, Longao, after your cultivation has broken through to the Nirvana realm, I hope you can find the Reincarnation Tribe. The Reincarnation Tribe is a legendary existence. Even if I have the Reincarnation Disc, it will not be easy to find the Reincarnation Tribe. Longao, I believe you know something about the Reincarnation Tribe. Although I am not very sure whether you are from the Reincarnation Tribe, since you have the Reincarnation Disc, once you find the Reincarnation Tribe and obtain their inheritance, there will be a place for you in the starry sky in the future. He nodded. Since Xiling said so, Longao did not say anything more. When his cultivation has broken through to the starry sky realm, then he will start to look for the Reincarnation Tribe. Longao, I know you have a lot of questions in your heart, but I still can't tell you. He smiled helplessly. As Xiling said, Longao had a lot of questions in his heart, especially about the origin of Xiling and Bai Ling. Both of them were level 9 starry sky cultivators. Without guessing, Longao knew that their identities were not simple at all. Not only that, what Longao was most concerned about was who could seriously injure 2 level 9 starry sky Genling. It was easy to imagine what kind of person the 2 Genling's enemy was. There was no doubt that the 2's enemy was also a level 9 starry sky cultivator. His strength must be far above the 2 of them. Otherwise, the 2 of them would not have been seriously injured by the enemy. Since Xiling did not want to say more, Longao did not ask any more. Longao, with your current strength, even if you know, it will not do you much good. Under the starry sky, all are ants. Even Nirvana realm cultivators are just ants. Only when you step into the starry sky realm can you be considered to have stepped into the real door of martial arts. Therefore, you still have a long way to go. Under the starry sky, all are ants. It was very helpless. In the eyes of countless martial artists in the Tianwu continent, Nirvana realm cultivators were already standing at the peak of martial arts. After all, the divine mathematician and the heavenly Tao were too high. Not everyone could reach them. However, Longao's cultivation had already reached the peak of the God Emperor realm. There were some things that he already knew. In front of a starry sky cultivator, everything was fleeting clouds. Even a level 1 starry sky cultivator could easily destroy the Tianwu continent, let alone the level 8 starry sky cultivator, the heavenly Tao, and the level 9 starry sky cultivator, the divine mathematician. Xiling, my cultivation has already reached the God Emperor realm. I believe that with my talent, it won't be difficult for me to break through to the Nirvana realm in the future. I don't want to ask about some things, but I really want to know about the starry sky. Since things have already come to this, I hope you can answer me truthfully. Originally, Longao did not want to ask, but after these few times, Longao wanted to know what the starry sky was. Longao had an intuition that the Tianwu continent was not the end. As for whether his guess was right or not, it depended on Xiling's answer. Originally, you would have to wait until your cultivation broke through to the starry sky realm. If I tell you now, it won't do you any good. Why are you so anxious? You just said that with your talent, you will be able to reproduce the origin energy in 10 years. It won't be difficult for you to break through to the starry sky realm. Chapter 1594. It was the same sentence again. If it was anything else, Longao would have let it go. Except for this. Xiling, I really want to know. Even if you don't tell me, I'll ask Long Fu later. I'm sure he'll tell me then. Longao had just finished speaking when Long Fu suddenly appeared. Master, I agree with Miss Xiling. With your current strength, it's better if you don't know. Otherwise, it'll be a huge hindrance to your state of mind. If even Long Fu said so, what else could Longao say? It could be said that he was extremely depressed. Shrugging helplessly, Longao said helplessly, if that's the case, I hope you won't refuse me when I break through to the starry sky realm. Master, of course. Xiling smiled and said, Longao, don't think about anything else now. The only thing you need to do is to stabilize your realm and break through to the Nirvana realm in 9 months. Before Longao could say anything, Xiling continued. The reason I asked you to stabilize your realm for 9 months is not only to stabilize your current realm and avoid future troubles, but also to stabilize your realm. At this point, Xiling paused. After 9 months, Long Fu and I will help you break through to the Nirvana realm in one fell swoop. At that time, you won't need to continue to stabilize your realm. I see. Longao finally understood why Xiling asked him to stabilize his realm for 9 months. Between the two choices, he would definitely choose Xiling's method. I know what to do. In the following days, Longao still didn't leave the Dragon Valley. Instead, he stayed and began to cultivate in silence. The night sky was dotted with stars. The mountain Longao sat on was listed as a forbidden area by the Dragon Valley. No one dared to take a step inside, not even Long Yi. You're Longao, the new master of the Dragon Seal? Although Longao didn't show it on his face, he was inwardly shocked when he saw the blood demon suddenly appear in front of him. The blood demon, the blood pool true body, had already devoured the artifact spirit. Longao had never thought that the blood demon would appear at this time. It seemed a bit too fast. As for why the blood demon recognized him, Longao was not surprised. Exactly. There's no need for me to say anything. I believe you've already guessed who I am. Nonsense. Longao didn't say anything. He just looked on coldly. He wanted to see what the blood demon was up to. His heart was heavy. Longao was very clear in his heart that since the blood demon could enter the Dragon Valley quietly, wouldn't it be easy for the blood demon to deal with his family? Longao, don't worry. The people here are just ants in my eyes. I won't do anything to them. Although Blood Devil said so, would Longao really believe him? Blood demon, let's get straight to the point. No need to beat around the bush. There was a hint of admiration on his face. The blood demon nodded and said, Longao, I believe you already know about the grudge between me and the Dragon Seal body. Back then, the Dragon Seal body forcibly sealed me and eventually disappeared. Logically speaking, the grudge between us should also disappear. It was reasonable. However, Longao knew that things weren't that simple. If the blood demon had really let go of the grudge, why would he appear now? Could it be that he wanted to catch up with him? Although the dragon seal body has disappeared, the dragon seal is still here. This tattered little seal has sealed me for tens of thousands of years. If I don't destroy the dragon seal, I'll be letting myself down. What do you say? Longao still didn't say anything. No matter what happened, he couldn't hand over the dragon seal. Longao, I'm a reasonable person. Although you're the new owner of the dragon seal, there's no grudge between us, so I won't kill you. As long as you hand over the dragon seal and leave, we won't interfere with each other in the future. How about it? So that's how it was. Longao finally knew why the blood demon had come to find him this time. Forgive me, but I can't promise you. Without the slightest anger, the blood demon smiled and said, Longao, although I've been sealed, I've been watching you from the beginning to the end. You're very good. Otherwise, I wouldn't have helped you before. Then I have to thank you. Longao knew that if the blood demon hadn't been willing to use the power of the blood pool, Long Fu wouldn't have been able to do it alone. But even so, friends were friends, and enemies were enemies. The blood demon was an enemy, not a friend. Blood demon, you and I are both smart people. You were seriously injured in the battle back then and were sealed for tens of thousands of years. If my guess is right, I believe that your current strength hasn't even reached the Nirvana realm. Not to mention the starry sky cultivators, I alone can easily destroy you. Am I right? The blood demon's face turned cold. Seeing this, Longao was overjoyed. The more the blood demon behaved like this, the more certain he was that his guess was right. If that was the case, then this was the best time to kill the blood demon. Otherwise, once the blood demon had the chance, not to mention killing him in the future, he would probably be killed by the blood demon himself. Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots to prevent future troubles. Longao, you're looking for trouble. Even if your guess is right, do you think it's possible for you to kill me? When I recover my strength, even if I'm only at the first level of the starry sky realm, not to mention you, even your family won't be able to escape. Do you believe me? A threat. A blatant threat. If someone else had threatened him like this, Longao would have snorted and looked down on them. But the blood demon was different. Because as the blood demon had said, although the blood demon didn't pose any threat to him now, what about in the future? If the blood demon recovered his strength, how could he compete with the Dragon Valley? Without further ado, Longao's body suddenly disappeared with the help of space teleportation. The next second, he appeared in front of the blood demon with his sword. The reincarnation sword light shot out 3 consecutive reincarnation sword lights, one after the other. Longao was full of confidence that even the blood demon wouldn't be able to escape death if he was hit. However, at this moment, the blood demon, who was still there a moment ago, suddenly disappeared, as if he had teleported. Looking at the blood demon who suddenly disappeared in front of him, Longao was also shocked. Because he never would have thought that although the blood demon's strength wasn't much, his speed was extremely fast. Because he discovered that even his own spatial teleportation might not be able to reach such speed. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, it would truly be hard to believe. There was no doubt that the blood demon was indeed a level 9 starry sky cultivator. His strength was even above the heavenly Tao. Once the blood demon recovered his peak strength, who could be his opponent except for the marvelous mathematician? Chapter 1595. Longao, you're still far from being able to kill me. He did not continue to attack. Longao coldly looked at the blood demon in front of him. He knew very well that even if the blood demon's current strength was not enough, he could not kill him with his speed. If he was not confident, the blood demon would not have appeared so easily. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, it would be hard to imagine that the blood demon's speed could surpass teleportation. Longao was almost certain that the blood demon's speed was definitely not teleportation, but pure speed. Blood demon, I will personally settle the grudge between us in the future. Are you determined not to hand over the dragon seal? The blood demon's face was a little gloomy. This time, after breaking out of the seal, he did not even bother to recover from his injuries and could not wait to rush over. He only had one purpose, and that was to destroy the dragon seal. In the blood demon's view, even if the dragon seal body had died, the dragon seal would always be a disaster. He had to eliminate the root of the problem to prevent future troubles. 3 years later, I will come and find you. As soon as his voice fell, the blood demon's figure disappeared without a trace. What fast speed! He sighed inwardly. The blood demon's terrifying speed was really unparalleled in the world. A 3-year agreement. Longao was not a fool. Since the blood demon had made a 3-year agreement with him, there was no doubt that the blood demon would need at least 3 years to recover his strength. Both Master God Diviner and the blood devil had agreed to meet in 3 years. Was there something going on between the two of them? At the top of a mountain not far from the Dragon Valley, a gentle breeze blew past. The blood demon stood alone at the top of the mountain, looking at the endless void in the distance. A black figure flashed. Blood demon, after 10,000 years, you finally broke out of the seal. Congratulations. He turned around. Looking at the marvelous mathematician in front of him, the blood demon was not surprised at all. He sneered and said, "Marvelous mathematician, if it were not for you, the dragon seal body would not have been sealed so easily." The marvelous mathematician smiled. 10,000 years ago, the blood demon appeared and wreaked havoc in the world. The dragon seal body borrowed the power of the dragon seal but still could not seal the blood demon. In the end, the marvelous mathematician personally helped the dragon seal body to seal the blood demon. It was precisely because of this. Apart from the dragon seal himself, the person the blood demon hated the most was the godly mathematician before him. However, the blood devil knew his own limits. Even if he had been at his peak 10,000 years ago, he wouldn't have been a match for the Master God Diviner. Not only him, but even the dragon seal himself was no match for Master God Diviner. Master Godly Mathematician's strength was unfathomable. Blood Devil had a feeling that even if he and Dragon Seal joined forces, they still wouldn't be a match for Master God Diviner. Blood Devil had always trusted his intuition. Back then, you slaughtered the Martial Heaven continent. As the ruler of the Martial Heaven continent, could I have just ignored it? He was rendered speechless by Master Godly Mathematician. His heart was filled with endless unwillingness. Master God Diviner, for the past 10,000 years, there's something I've been wondering about. I hope you can answer me honestly. Excuse me. Master God Diviner had an indifferent expression on his face, as if he didn't put blood demon in his eyes at all. From this, one could imagine how powerful Master God Diviner was. Starry Skies cultivators had 9 major realms, and even 2 Starry Skies cultivators of the same level would have differences in strength. In other words, even if Master God Diviner and Blood Demon were both 9th level cultivators, there was still a huge difference in their strength. Master God Diviner, I really want to know what realm your cultivation base has reached. Even 10 of you wouldn't be a match for me. Master God Diviner's words were so arrogant, but Blood Demon didn't doubt them in the slightest. If that was the case, then Master God Diviner's strength was truly unfathomable. Blood Demon had been prepared to take revenge after breaking out of the seal, but now, he didn't even have the slightest desire for revenge. Blood Demon, if you obediently stay on the continent, I won't do anything to you. But if you dare to walk the same path as you did 10,000 years ago and slaughter the Martial Heaven continent, I won't just seal you. I'll kill you directly. After Master God Diviner left, an ethereal voice rang out. Blood Demon, take care of yourself. Blood Demon's expression grew gloomier as he watched Master God Diviner disappear. However, he didn't move. In the end, he swallowed his anger. Master God Diviner was too powerful. Even at his peak, he wasn't a match for Master God Diviner, let alone the current him. At the peak of a mountain, a cool breeze blew past. Dragon Valley. Longao's expression was extremely grave. He hadn't told anyone about Blood Demon, because even if he did, it wouldn't help. Xiling, tell me the truth. What realm has Blood Demon reached? Longao was very clear in his heart. Even if he did not know, he believed that Violet Spirit would know. However, Violet Spirit shook her head and helplessly said, Blood Demon's strength is too strong. I cannot sense Blood Demon's true realm. Ah! Hearing Xiling's words, Longao was shocked. Xiling's strength was obvious, but even Xiling couldn't sense Blood Demon's true realm. Was Blood Demon really that powerful? It had to be known that Blood Demon was a 9th-rank Starry Sky cultivator, and so was Xiling. If even Xiling couldn't sense Blood Demon's true realm, then who else in the martial heaven continent besides Master God Diviner could sense Blood Demon's true realm? Long Fu. Long Fu? Longao wasn't a fool. Xiling only nodded, but he already knew what Xiling meant. That's right, why didn't he think of it earlier? Others might not be able to sense it, but it was impossible for Long Fu to not know. After all, Long Fu was the artifact spirit of the Dragon Seal. Following the fall of the Dragon Seal's original body, the Dragon Seal's owner was not only him, but also Long Fu. What's more, Long Fu had seen the Dragon Seal seal Blood Demon from beginning to end. If even Long Fu didn't know about it, then it was a bit strange. It was unlikely. Long Fu, tell me the truth. What realm has Blood Demon reached? Master, even if you know, what can you do? Miss Xiling and I are of the same mind. With your current strength, even if you know, it won't benefit you at all. It might even hinder you. Master, forgive me for not telling you. *CK Longao cursed in his heart, but he didn't blame Long Fu. He knew that Long Fu was doing this for his own good. Otherwise, telling him wouldn't cause any harm to Long Fu and Xiling. Even if he knew that it wouldn't benefit him at all, Longao still wanted to know. However, since Long Fu and Xiling had already said so, Longao didn't insist on asking. Chapter 1596. The Blood Demon had always been a threat. As long as the Blood Demon was not eliminated, Longao would not be at ease. The promise of 3 years. He stood at the top of the Dragon Valley, looking at the endless clouds in the distance. In the void of the 9 heavens, thousands of miles of clouds. Clenching his fists, Longao's eyes revealed an incomparably resolute look. No matter what happens in 3 years, I will reproduce the origin energy and break through to the Starry Sky realm. In the face of a Starry Sky cultivator, unless one's cultivation reached the same level as a Starry Sky cultivator, one would not stand a chance. The heavenly law, the Blood Demon, the 3 superpowers. All of his enemies were incomparably powerful. The slightest carelessness could lead to eternal damnation. Longao. Senior, you're here. Seeing the clairvoyant suddenly appear in front of him, Longao was a little surprised. He did not know why the clairvoyant would appear at this time. The Blood Demon just came to see you. He nodded. Since the clairvoyant had arrived, Longao was almost certain that the clairvoyant must have known that the Blood Demon had come to see him. If that was the case, there was no doubt that the clairvoyant also knew that he had obtained the Dragon Seal. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. For a long time, Longao did not believe in the clairvoyant's way of divination. In his view, even if the way of divination was unparalleled in the world, it was impossible to predict everything in the world. However, with each incident, Longao gradually believed that the clairvoyant's way of divination was indeed incomparably powerful. Longao, I believe you already know about the grudge between the Blood Demon and the Dragon Seal. Although the Dragon Seal's true body has fallen, the Blood Demon has been sealed for 10,000 years. I believe that he will not let this matter go. Since you have become the new master of the Dragon Seal, this grudge will naturally be transferred to you. This is fate, and it cannot be changed. Fate could not be changed. Longao never believed in fate, but he did not intend to shrink back from the grudge between him and the Blood Demon. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. My fate is up to me, not the heavens. The clairvoyant seemed to be able to guess what Longao was thinking, and his face was full of admiration. Longao, in 3 years, I will help you fend off the Blood Devil. Thank you, Senior. Although Master God Diviner had said that, Longao wasn't completely relying on Master God Diviner. After all, it was better to rely on oneself than to rely on others. If he didn't have the slightest bit of value after 3 years, would Master God Diviner still help him? That might not be the case. Longao, you didn't accept Tian Chen's inheritance. All of a sudden, Master God Diviner seemed to have sensed something, and a look of shock appeared on his face. From his point of view, Longao should have devoured the legacy of the stars. Could it be that Longao didn't even put a starry sky inheritance in his eyes? The starry sky realm, also known as the pinnacle of martial arts, was the realm that every warrior dreamed of reaching. Master God Diviner refused to believe that Longao really didn't want to break through to that level. The clairvoyant could even calculate this. If that was the case, Master God Diviner's way of divination was really terrifying. Senior, to tell you the truth, I've already given the legacy of the stars I obtained to my elder brother. As for myself, I've decided that no matter what difficulties I encounter, I will reproduce my own origin power and break through to the starry sky realm. Master God Diviner was more or less angry. Although he knew that there was a huge gap between devouring origin power and producing one's own origin power, he didn't want to wait any longer. What if Longao couldn't reproduce his origin power and break through to the starry sky realm in 3 years? However, since Longao had already done so, even Master God Diviner himself couldn't say anything. Longao, remember our 3-year agreement. As soon as he finished speaking, Master God Diviner's figure disappeared. Everyone wants to bully me. One day, I'll let all of you know that I, Longao, am not to be trifled with. As his cultivation base continued to rise, Longao helplessly found that even with his current strength, he was at most a speck of sand in a sea of people. That was especially true of super experts like the Blood Demon, Master God Diviner, and Tiandao. Let alone the current him, even if he broke through to the starry sky realm, he wouldn't be a match for them. It was easier said than done to continuously break through to the 9th rank of the starry sky realm. For countless years, the number of people who had reached this level in the martial heaven continent could be counted on one's fingers. Even the talented Tiandao had failed to break through to the 9th rank of the starry sky. It was easy to imagine how difficult it was to reach the 9th rank of the starry sky. The arrival of the Blood Demon and Master God Diviner caused Longao's mental state to become somewhat chaotic. The Violet Thunder Sect, in a private room. Following the Violet Thunder Ancestors' compromise, Yi Wutian and Yi Wudi had given up. They knew that it wasn't worth it to offend the Violet Thunder Ancestor just to kill Longao. As for Yi Wuren, he was still unwilling. The reason was very simple. Other than his most beloved grandson being killed by Longao, Longao had continuously provoked him. If Longao didn't die, Yi Wuren would lose face. Even with the Violet Thunder Ancestors' deterrence, Yi Wuren wouldn't easily let go. If he couldn't do it openly, he would do it secretly. Third Elder, if we continue to assassinate the Dragon Valley's people, Longao will find out sooner or later. If Longao spreads this matter and the Violet Thunder Ancestor learns about it, we'll be in big trouble. How could Yi Wuren not understand what the servant meant? Could they just let Longao go? That was impossible. Seems like I'll have to make a trip personally. After thinking about it, Yi Wuren finally decided not to let Longao go. However, Longao's strength and variables were too great. No matter who he sent, it wouldn't be enough. Only he could go and kill Longao himself. Third Elder, do we still have to deal with Longao? Cut the crap, the 4 of you come with me. In order to ensure that nothing went wrong, Yi Wuren brought the 4 Peak Divine Emperors and left the Violet Thunder Sect quietly. Dusk slowly descended. Looking at the 5 silhouettes disappearing, Yi Tianhua and the Violet Thunder Ancestor appeared at the same time. Yi Tianhua sighed helplessly and said, "Violet Thunder Ancestor, it seems like the Third Elder still can't let go. Should we help him or turn a blind eye to it?" In Yi Tianhua's opinion, the Third Elder was still one of them. As for Longao's life or death, it had nothing to do with him. Until now, Yi Tianhua couldn't understand why the Violet Thunder Ancestor would help Longao. He was sure that the Violet Thunder Ancestor and Longao didn't know each other before. I've already said that Longao and I are friends. No matter who you are in the Violet Thunder Sect, no one is allowed to touch Longao. Yi Wuren acted without permission, he didn't put me in his eyes at all. Chapter 1597. Everyone was shocked. Yi Tianhua could clearly sense a trace of killing intent from the old ancestor. Could it be that the old ancestor wanted to kill the Third Elder? He didn't believe it. Because Yi Tianhua didn't believe that the old ancestor would go against the third elder for a Longao. It was still the same sentence. In Yi Tianhua's eyes, the third elder was one of them, but Longao wasn't. If he had to choose, he would choose to support the third elder and not Longao. Kill. Old ancestor, if we attack, we won't be able to answer to the sect. They were shocked to the extreme. Yi Tianhua didn't think that the old ancestor would really want to kill. Old ancestor. Yi Tianhua waved his hand. The purple thunder old ancestor's face didn't look too good. He said coldly, "The purple thunder sect was founded by me. If anyone dares to say another word, I will kill them without mercy." Yi Tianhua didn't know what was wrong with the old ancestor. But Yi Tianhua wasn't a fool. After this incident, he was sure that in the old ancestor's heart, the third elder wasn't even comparable to a Longao. If the old ancestor could kill the third elder for the sake of Longao, then he could kill anyone for the sake of Longao. Tianhua, you don't have to worry about this matter. I will personally take action. He sighed deeply in his heart. The third elder's actions were completely self-inflicted. He couldn't blame anyone else. The old ancestor had already ordered that no one in the Purple Thunder sect was allowed to attack the Dragon Valley and Longao. Those who disobeyed the order would be killed without mercy. Even if it wasn't for the sake of Longao, just disobeying the old ancestor's order was enough for the third elder to be sentenced to death. Yi Tianhua led the four peak god emperors to the Dragon Valley at the fastest speed. It took about 2 days from start to finish. In order to not let others know, Yi Tianhua didn't act rashly. In other words, Yi Tianhua and the other 4 didn't enter the Dragon Valley because he didn't want the old ancestor to know about this. Yi Wuren came prepared this time. Once you go out, you will be in great danger. Long Yi's face was solemn. Yi Wuren's strength was there for all to see. He had reached the unity of heaven and man realm and had successfully created the heaven and earth domain. Even if he believed in his son, the gap between Ao'er and Yi Wuren was obvious. He clearly knew that it was dangerous, so why did he still go? It was as if he knew that there was a tiger in the mountain, but he still went to the mountain. Father, there are some things that I must do. Longao also didn't expect that Yi Wuren would come looking for him. He had already decided that even if Yi Wuren didn't come, he would still make a trip to the Violet Thunder sect. After all, this matter had to be resolved. Yi Wuren was a holiness of Nirvana level cultivator. If things went on like this, Yi Wuren would be fine, but how could the Dragon Valley stop him? This time, Yi Wuren didn't enter the Dragon Valley. Longao was sure of one thing: Yi Wuren acted on his own. It seemed that the Purple Thunder Patriarch didn't know about it. If that was the case, everything would be easy to handle. Father, trust me. Since things had already come to this point, Long Yi did not continue to say anything. He was very clear about Ao'er's character. Once he decided on something, he wouldn't change his mind under normal circumstances. Longao also left the Dragon Valley quietly because he didn't want Yu Yin to know about it. Otherwise, without a doubt, with Yu Yin's character, she would definitely follow him. Although Yu Yin's cultivation had successfully broken through the heaven multiplying technique, no one knew if there would be any changes. It was better to be safe than sorry. If something happened to Yu Yin, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. As soon as he left the Dragon Valley, before Longao could continue moving, a figure flashed in front of him. Yu Yin blocked Longao's path. Brother Long, I want to go too. Yu Yin, you can't do this. Don't make me worry about you. Yu Yin's face was filled with determination. Brother Long, I've already checked Yi Wuren's strength. He's only at the oneness of heaven and men level. My cultivation has successfully broken through the heaven multiplying technique. It's more than enough to deal with him. This time, whether you agree or not, I have to go. Yu Yin was famous for being a domineering woman in Redfire Town. However, she later followed Hades into the Martial Artists Alliance and restrained her character. If it was just Yi Wuren, Longao wouldn't be too worried. As Yu Yin said, with her current heaven multiplying technique, it was more than enough to deal with Yi Wuren. Longao was afraid that Yi Wuren had set a trap for him this time. If it wasn't just Yi Wuren, but also Yu Yin, wouldn't it be dangerous? However, Longao knew Yu Yin's character very well. If Yu Yin didn't go with him this time, she wouldn't let it go. After thinking about it, Longao finally chose to compromise. Yu Yin, although I promise you to go with me, you have to listen to me when the time comes. Don't worry. Hearing Longao's promise, Yu Yin was pleasantly surprised. She directly came over and held Longao's arm, which made Longao shake his head helplessly. In the nameless valley, looking at the two figures not far away, Yi Wuren sneered. He didn't expect Longao to really come. Just now, he was thinking that if Longao really didn't dare to come, what should he do? However, as long as Longao came alone, everything would be easy. Even if Longao had leaked the matter, he was still not afraid. Anyway, there would be no evidence. Even if the ancestor knew, he probably wouldn't deal with him for Longao. If Yi Wuren knew that Purple Thunder ancestor had come and wanted to kill him, what would he do? In the face of life, everything was bullshit. Yi Wuren wasn't afraid of death. Not necessarily. However, in Yi Wuren's view, the ancestor wouldn't deal with him for a little Longao. Not to mention Yi Wuren, no one would believe it. Longao, I have to admire your courage. You killed my grandson. Today, I want to settle this account with you. If you don't object, your life is mine. Who are you? You want to kill my big brother Long? Dream on. Yu Yin, who was already very angry, heard Yi Wuren's words and her face instantly darkened. He didn't say anything nice. If it weren't for Longao stopping her, Yu Yin would have already attacked. She was indeed a domineering woman. He was a little confused. Looking at the woman beside Longao, Yi Wuren didn't sense Yu Yin's true strength. In Yi Wuren's view, this woman must be Longao's confidant. Anyway, things had already come to this point. Killing one or two people was the same. It was better to eliminate the root of the problem and get rid of both of them at once to save himself some trouble. Chapter 1598. Longao, don't tell me that you only dare to hide behind a woman. Yi Wuren's face was full of disdain, contempt and ridicule. Longao smiled, his face indifferent. As for Yu Yin, hearing Yi Wuren's words, Yi Wuren was furious. If it wasn't for Longao's timely intervention, Yi Wuren would have already attacked. Yu Yin, do you know who he is? A dog of the Purple Thunder sect. Little girl, you're wrong to talk like that. Hearing the voice, before the 7 people could react, Purple Thunder ancestor's figure had already appeared. Brother Long, we haven't seen each other for a few days. Greetings, old ancestor. Ignoring Yi Wuren, the Purple Thunder ancestor looked at Longao and said with a smile, Brother Long, I'm really sorry that our Purple Thunder sect has such a trash. Trash? I'm trash. The old ancestor actually called me trash. Hearing the old ancestor's words, Yi Wuren was dumbfounded. He never thought that the old ancestor would really help Longao and not him. Is this really the old ancestor? Feeling the killing intent from the old ancestor, Yi Wuren was dumbfounded and didn't dare to say a word. Even if you didn't come, I wouldn't have killed him. Thank you. The two of them were friends, they could hear each other's words clearly. The Purple Thunder ancestor absolutely believed that Longao could kill Yi Wuren, especially the girl beside Longao. The Purple Thunder ancestor was shocked because he never thought that Longao would have such a strong expert by his side. Ju Tian multiplication. A small Yi Wuren couldn't be Ju Tian multiplication's opponent. Even if he didn't come this time, Yi Wuren would still die without a doubt. Longao alone? The Purple Thunder ancestor believed it, but it didn't mean that Yi Wuren also believed it. Yi Wuren had full confidence in his own strength. In Yi Wuren's opinion, a puny Longao was no match for him. Cough, cough. Ancestor, this is a grudge between me and Longao. I hope you won't interfere. As the great ancestor helped Longao, Yi Wuren knew that he would definitely die this time. Even if he had to die, he had to find a scapegoat. Yi Wuren was betting on the fact that the Grand Ancestor would not intervene and let him and Longao settle their grudge alone. If that was the case, his chances of killing Longao would be greatly increased. As expected. Brother Long, what do you think? As a friend, the Purple Thunder ancestor did not personally take action, because he wanted to see what Longao wanted. This was a true friend. How could Longao not be aware of Purple Thunder ancestor's intentions? Big Brother Purple Thunder, I hope to resolve this matter myself. The Purple Thunder ancestor was not surprised at all, because he had already guessed that Longao would make such a choice. Otherwise, Longao would not be the real Longao. The Purple Thunder ancestor did not continue to talk nonsense, but walked to the side and stood steadily. Bet. Even if he died, he would kill Longao. Longao, I have to admire your courage, but you are still a little too arrogant. I'll give you a chance. He waved his hand. Without giving Yi Wuren any chance to speak, Longao sneered and said, Yi Wuren, cut the crap. The grudge between you and me must be resolved today. In front of Big Brother Purple Thunder, I will kill you myself. You shouldn't have come this time. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, you? Hearing Longao's arrogant words, Yi Wuren suddenly laughed wildly. His laughter was filled with endless contempt and ridicule, because in Yi Wuren's opinion, it was impossible for him to be defeated. Big Brother Long, let me do it. He nodded. Although Longao believed in his own strength, he still had self-awareness. If he relied on his own strength alone, not to mention killing Yi Wuren, he was afraid that Yi Wuren would kill him. If it was just Yi Wuren alone, Longao certainly would not have the slightest worry. The reason was simple. Yi Wuren's cultivation had only reached the realm of oneness of heaven and man, while Yuin's cultivation had reached the realm of heavenly cycle multiplication, which was one realm higher than Yi Wuren's. The difference between the 5 realms of nirvana was huge. In other words, Yu Yin could kill Yi Wuren in minutes. Be careful. Yu Yin smiled, her face full of confidence. In the next second, Yu Yin's whole body had already rushed out. Her speed was so fast that even Yi Wuren was shocked. Nirvana Realm Warrior. Yu Yin had already released her aura. Yi Wuren sensed that the opponent was a Nirvana Realm Warrior, and a Heavenly Cycle Reproduction Realm Nirvana Realm Warrior. Yi Wuren's face changed, but before Yi Wuren could react, Yu Yin had already approached him. You shouldn't have insulted Big Brother Long, so you must die. After so many years outside, Yu Yin was no longer the Yu Yin in Scarlet Fire Town. She was very clear in her heart that in this dog-eat-dog world, it was either you die or I die. Mercy to the enemy was the greatest cruelty to oneself. In the blink of an eye, the two had already fiercely fought. The terrifying battle between the 2 Nirvana Realm Warriors. The 4 Peak Divine God Warriors were instantly killed by the powerful aura, leaving no one alive. Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. Although the 4 of them were Divine God Warriors of the Purple Thunder sect, in Yu Yin's view, they were all Yi Wuren's men. If she did not kill them, what if they came to Big Brother Long for revenge in the future? Precisely because of this, Yu Yin did not have the slightest bit of mercy, not leaving a single one alive. The Purple Thunder ancestor did not have the slightest bit of emotion when the 4 of them died. In his opinion, the 4 of them deserved it. After all, he had already given the order that no one in the Purple Thunder sect was allowed to harm Longao. Since Yi Wuren and the other 4 dared to disobey his order, they deserved to die. Yi Wuren was very clear in his heart that the difference in cultivation level between him and Longao was too great. If this battle continued, he would undoubtedly die. What should he do? Old ancestor. Yes, old ancestor. In this situation, he could only ask for help from the old ancestor. Otherwise, only death would await him. Old ancestor, I'm still the 3rd elder of the Purple Thunder sect. If I'm killed by Longao, where will the face of the Purple Thunder sect go? Seeing the old ancestor not speaking, Yi Wuren was unwilling. Even if he was a Nirvana Realm Warrior, it was impossible for him not to fear death. Old ancestor, I was wrong, I know I was wrong, I really know I was wrong, I beg the old ancestor to save me, save me. In this situation, Yi Wuren was really afraid because the young lady who was attacking him was obviously going to kill him. If the old ancestor did not help him, he would not be able to withstand it. The Purple Thunder ancestor still did not speak, looking coldly at him. Could it be that the old ancestor really wanted to kill him? Chapter 1599. Yi Wuren was very clear in his heart. If the old ancestor really wanted to kill him, then he wouldn't even have a chance. He wasn't afraid of Longao, but he was very afraid of the old ancestor. Yu Yin, come back. Brother Long Yu Yin, who was fiercely attacking Yi Wuren, suddenly heard Longao calling her. She was a little unwilling and didn't know why he called her back at this time. Didn't Brother Long want to kill Yi Wuren? However, Yu Yin didn't continue to attack. In front of the two of them, she couldn't not give Longao face. She withdrew her hand. Brother Long, I know what I'm doing. Longao smiled, then looked at the Purple Thunder ancestor and said with a smile, Brother Purple Thunder, Yi Wuren is still a member of the Purple Thunder sect. It's not appropriate for me to kill him. Giving him face. Thank you. Yi Wuren, do you know my original order? I know. How could Yi Wuren not know? The old ancestor had clearly stated that no one was allowed to attack Longao without permission. Those who disobeyed the order would be killed without mercy. Although he knew, Yi Wuren still wanted to take a gamble because in his view, he was still a member of the Purple Thunder sect. There was no reason for the old ancestor to not help him and instead help Longao. This time, he lost the gamble. Until now, Yi Wuren still hoped that the old ancestor wouldn't kill him. However, in the next second, Yi Wuren's body suddenly became sluggish and his soul was destroyed. His soul didn't even have the chance to enter the reincarnation path. Purple Thunder ancestor, you didn't have to do this. Longao was a little surprised because he didn't expect that the Purple Thunder ancestor not only killed Yi Wuren, but also destroyed his soul. Brother Long, this is not only for you, but also for me. Since things had already reached this point, Longao didn't say anything more. Dragon Valley, Back Mountain. Forbidden area, inside a pavilion. Brother Long, although you have a 1-year agreement with the 3 superpowers, in my opinion, with your strength and the Dragon Valley's strength, I'm afraid that after a year, you won't be a match for the 3 superpowers. He nodded in agreement. There wasn't the slightest anger because Longao knew that the Purple Thunder ancestor meant no harm. Brother Purple Thunder ancestor's suggestion, do you have a good idea? Brother Long, I've already met with Gentian. A year later, the two of us, the Sword Sect and the Violet Thunder Sect will do our best to assist you. So that's the case. 3 against 3, 3 against 3, 3. Even if the Dragon Valley wasn't, the Sword Sects. If the Violet Thunder Sect and Sword Sect really wanted to help him, Longao was very clear that after a year, even the 3 transcendent powers would have to reconsider their actions. No one wanted to end up in a life and death struggle. Long to TSSS to T. Purple Thunder ancestor's expression was very dignified as he said, even if Gentian and I do our best to help you, it is still not a solution. It is better to rely on oneself than to rely on others. Brother Long, do you understand what I mean? I understand, how can I not understand? Longao understood the Purple Thunder ancestor's meaning. It was simple. Even if the Sword Sect and Purple Thunder Sect were willing to help him, they wouldn't fall out with the 3 superpowers just for his sake. Friends, not family. Just like what the Purple Thunder ancestor said, it was better to rely on himself than on others. If he and the Dragon Valley were strong enough, would the 3 superpowers still dare to act like this? At the end of the day, it was because he wasn't strong enough. If he wanted to protect the Dragon Valley from being bullied by others, he had to get stronger first. At the very least, he had to reach the Nirvana realm. If he could break through to the Nirvana realm, Longao had full confidence that he would be able to put up a fight against Nirvana rebirth experts. But breaking through to the Nirvana realm was easier said than done. Brother Purple Thunder, speak your mind. Looking at the smiling Purple Thunder ancestor, Longao's heart skipped a beat. If the Purple Thunder ancestor didn't have any other intentions, why would he say this out of the blue? Unless the Purple Thunder ancestor had nothing better to do. Brother Long, you're really smart. Apart from the matter of Yi Wuren, I also have something to tell you. As long as you do as I say, I can guarantee that your cultivation will be able to smoothly break through to the Nirvana realm. Longao was shocked. He knew very well that it wasn't easy to break through to the Nirvana realm from the Divine Emperor realm. Not to mention others, even Long Fu and Xiling couldn't guarantee that they could smoothly break through to the Nirvana realm from the Divine Emperor realm. But Longao wasn't a fool. Since the Purple Thunder Ancestor said so, it seemed like the Purple Thunder Ancestor really had a way. If that was the case, then it was undoubtedly the best thing for him. Brother Purple Thunder, please tell me. Longao, reject him. At this time, Xiling's spiritual sense suddenly transmitted. Longao was shocked. He didn't know what Xiling meant by saying this at this time, but Longao was very clear that Xiling certainly wouldn't harm him. Without waiting for the Purple Thunder Ancestor to speak, Longao said helplessly, Brother Purple Thunder, I'm really sorry, but I can't promise you because I have something very important to do. Brother Long, don't you want to break through to the Nirvana realm? He didn't even say anything, but Longao had already rejected him. This made the Purple Thunder Ancestor a little confused. After all, the Nirvana realm was a realm that every warrior dreamed of reaching, especially the current Longao. In the current situation, Longao believed that Longao needed to break through to the Nirvana realm even more. Brother Purple Thunder, I know your good intentions. To tell you the truth, it would be a lie to say that I don't want to break through to the Nirvana realm. Even if I had the opportunity to break through to the Nirvana realm now, I wouldn't. Why is that? The Purple Thunder Ancestor became more and more curious. He didn't know what was going on with Longao. How could there be such a thing? If he didn't hear it with his own ears, even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't have believed it. Brother Purple Thunder, I believe you have also heard about my matters. Purple Thunder Ancestor nodded. It was impossible for him not to know about Longao's matters. As for Longao, he was simply a legend. In just a few years, he had directly broken through to the peak of the God Emperor realm from a waste. He was only one step away from the so-called Nirvana realm. Such talent could be said to be unprecedented. The Purple Thunder Ancestor couldn't figure out what this matter had to do with Longao's rejection. Brother Purple Thunder, my realm is rising too fast. It's not very stable now. Chapter 1600. The Purple Thunder Ancestor didn't seem to understand. Longao didn't try to hide the truth. Big Brother Purple Thunder, to be honest, my cultivation speed has been too fast for so many years. Even I can't control myself. Therefore, in the remaining time, I will focus on stabilizing my cultivation. He nodded. You're right. Based on your cultivation speed, if you can't stabilize your cultivation, once you break through, not only will there be no benefits, it will also bring you trouble. Since Longao said so, the Purple Thunder Ancestor didn't try to persuade him. According to Longao, Yi Wuren's death must be kept a secret. Otherwise, where would the Purple Thunder sect's face go? Things didn't go as planned. Longao didn't want to leak the news, but the Purple Thunder Ancestor didn't hide it. Announcing it to the world. There was only one reason why the Purple Thunder Ancestor personally killed Yi Wuren, and that was because Yi Wuren ignored the Purple Thunder sect's order and was killed by the Purple Thunder Ancestor. Shocking the world. When the news spread, no one believed it. But since it came from the Purple Thunder Ancestor's mouth, even if they didn't believe it, they could only believe it. Purple Thunder Sect. Inside a secret chamber. Yi Wudi and Yi Wutian never imagined that their third brother would be killed by the old ancestor. Because other than Yi Tianhua, no one else knew about it, including the two of them. Big brother, the old ancestor personally took action. It seems like his bias towards Longao. Was this bias? Yi Wudi was unwilling to admit that in front of the old ancestor, Longao's status was far above their third brother's. If this didn't happen, they wouldn't have believed it. Second brother, don't mention this matter again. From now on, don't provoke Longao, understand? Their hearts were filled with anger. In the hearts of Yi Wutian and Yi Wutian, they did not blame the great ancestor at all, nor did they dare to blame the great ancestor. The only one they blamed was Longao. If it were not for the great ancestor, the two of them would have dealt with Longao directly. But the situation now was different. They were clear that if the old ancestor could kill their third brother for Longao, then there was no doubt that the old ancestor would kill them and their second brother for Longao. Swoosh! Yi Tianhua appeared instantly. Patriarch. The two of you, I believe that you already know about the matter of the third elder. This time, I only have one thing to tell you. Don't provoke Longao. Otherwise, the old ancestor will not show any mercy. As expected. The two of them weren't sure, but after hearing the patriarch's words, they were 100% sure that the relationship between the old ancestor and Longao was not simple. Actually, after thinking about it, he felt relieved. If their relationship was not good, how could the old ancestor kill third brother for Longao? No matter what, his third brother was still a Nirvana realm cultivator. This was extremely important to the Violet Thunder sect. Not only that, the old ancestor's meaning is very clear. 3 years later, our Violet Thunder sect will fully support the Dragon Valley to deal with the 3 superpowers. Has the ancestor gone mad? Hearing the patriarch's words, both Yi Wutian and Yi Wudi were shocked. The two of them had never imagined that the old ancestor would make such a decision. They were clear about the grudge between Longao and the 3 superpowers. If they helped Longao, wouldn't they be offending the 3 superpowers? 1 against 3, would the Violet Thunder sect be able to contend against the 3 superpowers? Once the 3 superpowers joined forces, not to mention the Dragon Valley, even if the Dragon Valley and the Violet Thunder sect joined forces, they would not be a match for the 3 superpowers. The two of them cursed fiercely in their hearts. This time, they were cursing the old ancestor. Although they were angry, they did not dare to speak. This is not something you and I can decide. I don't know the relationship between the old ancestor and Longao, but you'd better take care of yourselves. After saying that, Yi Tianhua turned and left, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. Yi Wutian and Yi Wutian looked at each other and saw a trace of anger, helplessness, and even more helplessness in each other's eyes. No one could change the old ancestor's decision. The second day after the Purple Thunder ancestor killed Yi Wuren. Early in the morning, the sun slowly shone over the land. Everyone was busy with their own matters. At this moment. From now on, I will be in seclusion for 3 years. The Heavenly Tao and I will no longer care about the matters of the martial sky continent. After 3 years, when I come out, everything will return to normal. All the Nirvana realm experts, including Longao, were shocked when they heard the godly diviner's voice. What did the godly diviner mean? All the Nirvana realm experts, including Longao, were not fools. They naturally understood the meaning of the godly diviner's words. The godly diviner was only going to be in seclusion for 3 years. Why did he need to inform all the Nirvana realm experts? After all, whether he was in seclusion or not, it was the same whether he was in seclusion for 3 years, 9 years, or even 900 years. The godly diviner and the heavenly Tao would not appear for the remaining 3 years. They would not care about the matters of the martial sky continent. What did this mean? In other words, for 3 years, no matter how chaotic the martial heaven continent was, the two of them wouldn't interfere. In other words, the god diviner wanted to re-establish the structure of the continent. It didn't matter who destroyed who. Even if the 10-direction cauldron was destroyed, the god diviner believed that 3 years later, a new one would appear. The agreement between Longao and the 3 superpowers is cancelled. However, the 3 superpowers are not allowed to attack the Dragon Valley. Otherwise, they will be destroyed in 3 years. The 3 superpowers were delighted to hear the godly diviner's message. In their eyes, whether the Dragon Valley was destroyed or not wasn't important. The most important thing was to kill Longao. If the godly diviner did not interfere, then everything would be easy. Ordinary martial artists didn't know that the godly diviner's message could only be heard by Nirvana realm experts and Longao. However, the people who controlled the fate of the continent were only Nirvana realm experts. Ordinary martial artists didn't have the power to decide. The continent was in turmoil. No matter which force it was, even if it was the 10 Directions tripod, there was no guarantee that they would survive the 3 years of turmoil. However, For those ambitious people or forces, this was undoubtedly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen. This was because all 10 forces, including second-rate forces, third-rate forces, and even fourth-rate forces, even the outer seas, western regions, and other continents were getting restless. This was because everyone wanted to get a piece of the pie in the 3 years of turmoil. All the Nirvana realm experts didn't hide anything. They told the world about the godly diviner's message. Just relying on Nirvana realm experts wouldn't be able to change the power structure of the continent. Chapter 1601. As a Nirvana realm martial artist, Yu Yin had also received a message from Master Clairvoyant. She had a serious expression on her face. Yu Yin was well aware that once the 1-year agreement was lifted and without the deterrence of the divine mathematician, Big Brother Long would be in great danger. The strength and foundation of the 3 superforces were clear for all to see. Could Brother Long alone contend against the 3 superforces? Dragon Valley. Inside a secluded pavilion. A gentle breeze blew, and a fragrant scent wafted into the air. Brother Long, since you already know about Master Clairvoyant's message, why do you insist on leaving? Hearing that Brother Long was still going to leave Dragon Valley, Yu Yin was extremely worried. Master Clairvoyant had gone into seclusion and cancelled the 1-year agreement between the 3 superpowers and Longao. This meant that from now on, the 3 superpowers could attack Longao without fear. Although she trusted her brother Long, the difference in strength between them was too great. It was like throwing an egg against a rock. Yu Yin, I know what to do. No matter what happens, you are not allowed to leave Dragon Valley. Longao was very depressed because Yu Yin's cultivation had also reached the Nirvana realm. Of course, she could hear Master Clairvoyant's message. The 1-year agreement was cancelled. Longao was almost certain that if nothing unexpected happened, he believed that the current 3 superforces would definitely attack him with all their might. Fortunately, with Master Clairvoyant's deterrence, the 3 superpowers would not dare to casually attack Dragon Valley. That was enough for him. Brother Long, I'm very worried about you. Longao smiled dotingly and said, how could I not know? I will definitely resolve the grudge between me and the 3 superpowers. Don't worry, I will be fine. Yu Yin looked deeply at Brother Long in front of her. In the end, she chose to compromise. She knew Brother Long's character very well. Once he decided on something, he would not change it under normal circumstances. Brother Long, if you live, I live. If you die, I die. If you live, I live. If you die, I die. These simple words were enough to express Yu Yin's current attitude. It would be unrealistic to say that he was not moved. However, Longao did not continue to say anything. Everything was in silence. Following the God Diviner's seclusion and the Heavenly Tao's absence, all the powers of the martial heaven continent began to stir. They all wanted to get a share of this chaotic time. The tripod of 10 directions. Long Family, Alchemy Guild, Martial Artists Alliance, WN Show Sect, Heaven and Earth Sect, 5 Elements Sect, Wanjan School, Sword Sect, Purple Thunder Sect, and Black Heaven Sect. Long Family, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the WAN Show Sect, the 3 superpowers, were overjoyed. In the eyes of the 3 superpowers, with the deterrence of the Oracle, no one would dare to go against the will of the Oracle unless there was something wrong with their heads or they were courting death. The tables had turned. No one knew what the Oracle meant. However, in the eyes of the 3 superpowers, this was undoubtedly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Kill. Longao must die. The Longao was too unpredictable. Although it was only 9 months, who knew what would happen during that time? What if? What if Longao really reached the Nirvana realm in 9 months and reached a certain height? How would the 3 superpowers deal with him? Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots to prevent future trouble. At the end of the day, in the eyes of the 3 superpowers, Longao posed an absolute threat to them. If this matter were to spread to anyone else, they'd definitely become a laughingstock. However, Longao's situation was very special. They did not attack immediately. They could not attack the Dragon Valley. In other words, the oracle meant that as long as Longao was in the Dragon Valley, no matter who it was, they could not attack him. Otherwise, they would suffer the wrath of the oracle 3 years later. The 3 superpowers couldn't help but feel a little depressed. They prayed that Longao would leave the Dragon Valley. Otherwise, as long as Longao hid in the Dragon Valley, wouldn't they be unable to do anything after 3 years? Everyone was looking forward to seeing if Longao would leave the Dragon Valley. Smart people would definitely not leave the Dragon Valley. However, everyone wanted to see Longao leave. They wanted to see who would win the battle between Longao and the 3 superpowers. On the 3rd day after the oracle's transmission, the chaos of the Tianwu continent officially began. The first to attack was the Heaven and Earth sect. Then, the other 9 superpowers, the Long family, the Pill Alliance, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Myriad Beast sect, the 5 Elements sect, the Wanzhan School, the Sword sect, the Purple Thunder sect, and the Black Heaven sect all joined the war. It was not just the 10 forces. Even the second-rate, third-rate, and fourth-rate powers were not spared. They were all drawn into the war. In this kind of chaos, death was a small matter. It was like squashing an ant. As for sects and families, they could rise one day and be destroyed the next. It was an ordinary matter. The 9 prefectures continent was exceptionally calm. Everyone was shocked. That was because no superpower had entered the 9 prefectures continent. As for the 9 prefectures continent, no family or sect had risen. At this moment, the 9 prefectures continent only had one overlord, the Dragon Valley. Dragon Valley. Within the main hall, Long Yi and the others had all appeared. However, Long Ao and Long Haosha were still in seclusion. As for why the 2 of them had not appeared for such a big matter, no one knew except for Long Yi and Long Ao. No one dared to ask. Aoa, the Tianwu continent is in chaos. If nothing unexpected happens, it won't be long before the chaos spreads to the 9 prefectures continent. If we don't think of a way to deal with it, we'll be in a very passive position. How could Long Ao not understand his father's worries? The chaos of the Martial Heaven continent would affect the entire structure of the continent, especially the 10 directions tripod. The rise of any one of them, or the fall of any one of them, was extremely important. Dad, let's bide our time. As for the Martial Heaven continent, I'm preparing to bring people into it. No matter what happens, we'll become the new 10 directions tripod. Hearing Long Ao's words, everyone was startled. This idea was too brazen. Entering the Martial Heaven continent wasn't difficult, but becoming the new 10 directions tripod was impossible. After all, the difference in power between the Dragon Valley and the 10 directions tripod was too great. The 2 weren't even on the same level. Aoa, we should consider this matter at length. If we don't have absolute confidence, it won't be appropriate for us to act rashly. Long Ao smiled confidently. We have the blood-colored spider and the blood-colored praying mantis. When the time comes, we'll have 5 Nirvana experts, 7 in total. I refuse to believe that with our power, we won't be able to become the new 10 directions tripod. Chapter 1602. No one could oppose Long Ao's decision. Long Ao had already decided that he would take advantage of this chaos to bring the Dragon Valley to prominence. He could only succeed, not fail. The Massacre Abyss. Long Ao felt very helpless because even now, he still didn't know who was secretly helping him. Otherwise, the 5 Abyssal Masters of the Massacre Abyss wouldn't have submitted to him for no reason. 5 Abyssal Masters. The Eastern Abyssal Master was Hong Lingtong, the Southern Abyssal Master was Yang Ling, the Western Abyssal Master was Luo Qingfeng, the Northern Abyssal Master was Guo Li, and the Central Abyssal Master was Yi Chen. Long Ao. Hearing that Long Ao had suddenly changed his mind, the 5 of them were helpless to the extreme. With the black-robed man's deterrence, they could only obediently submit. Master, why have you returned this time? Lin Yun sneered inside. Long Ao was very clear that the 5 of them definitely didn't want him to return. The 5 of them were true Nirvana realm cultivators. If news of them submitting to a mere god emperor spread, where would their face go? From now on, I want to enter the martial sky continent. I hope the 5 of you can help me. So it was this. The 5 of them looked at each other, seeing a trace of relaxation in each other's eyes. To the 5 of them, helping Longao enter the sky martial continent was simply an easy matter. It could be done in minutes. Master, this matter is simple. Other than helping me enter the martial sky continent, you also have to help me become one of the 10 great powers. Ah! Seemingly in disbelief, Hong Lingtong asked, Master, you just said that you want us to help you enter the martial sky continent and become one of the 10 great powers? Lin Yu nodded. Seeing Longao nod his head, the 5 people were all greatly shocked. In just an instant, the 5 of them understood Longao's meaning. As Nirvana realm cultivators, the 5 of them had also heard Master God Diviner's transmission. However, they had never imagined that Longao's ambition would be so great. He actually wanted to enter the martial sky continent and become one of the 10 great powers. It was almost impossible. Even if the Dragon Valley had the help of the 5 of them and the entire Massacre Abyss, it would still be impossible for them to achieve this. Was Longao out of his mind? Or had Longao's head been kicked by a donkey? Master, forgive me for being blunt. Please speak. Actually, there was no need for Hong Lingtong to say anything. How could Longao not know what the other party meant? Master, I trust that there's no need for us to say more about your and the Dragon Valley's power than anyone else. Forgive me for being blunt, but just you and the Dragon Valley can easily take over the martial heaven continent and become one of the 10 great powers. At this point, Hong Lingtong did not continue. The meaning behind Hong Lingtong's words was very clear. Without exception, the 5 of them had disdain and contempt written all over their faces. The 5 of them didn't believe it. They all believed that Longao bringing the Dragon Valley to the martial heaven continent would only lead to death. They weren't the slightest bit angry. Longao was very clear that the 5 of them didn't put him in their eyes from the beginning to the end. Although he didn't know the reason why the 5 of them submitted to him, Longao could clearly see that the 5 of them were absolutely unwilling to do so. This matter was extremely troublesome. Based on this situation, it would be difficult to get the 5 of them to help him. Longao didn't plan on giving up. With the help of the 5 of them, not only would the Dragon Valley be able to take over the martial heaven continent, but it would also be more than enough. I've already made up my mind. I just want to ask you one thing. Will you follow me? Impossible. Hong Lingtong seemed to be truly angry. The 5 of them had already discussed this. Even if the black-robed man blamed them, the 5 of them wouldn't continue like this. It was simply a disgrace. Longao, starting now, the 5 of us have nothing to do with you. Furthermore, you can't enter the Massacre Abyss. Otherwise, don't blame us for being merciless. They had turned hostile. Longao was a bit surprised. He hadn't expected the 5 of them to turn hostile at this time. If that was the case, he would have to think twice before deciding to enter the martial heaven continent. The current martial heaven continent was different from before. The slightest carelessness could lead to eternal damnation. Longao, don't think that you're unrivaled. In our eyes, you're not even worth a fart. If it weren't for the Lord, shut up. The Lord. Who was the Lord that Luo Qingfeng had mentioned? Could it be that the 5 of them had chosen to submit to him because of the Lord that Luo Qingfeng had mentioned? Without wasting any more words, Longao got up and left. H, you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. If the Lord blames us for doing this, how will we deal with it? We'll take it one step at a time. After leaving the Massacre Abyss, Longao didn't rush back to the martial heaven continent. Instead, he returned to the Dragon Valley. If he wanted to enter the martial heaven continent, he had to plan carefully. He couldn't be like last time, when his entire sect had almost been destroyed. The current martial heaven continent was filled with battles. Blood flowed like rivers, and corpses were everywhere. Fortunately, the 10-directional cauldron was suppressing the chaos. Otherwise, the situation would have continued to escalate. Heroes were born in troubled times. In these 3 chaotic years, no matter who it was, they would definitely want to become a hero in troubled times. If they succeeded, not only would their name shake the world, but they would also be able to establish a lasting legacy. For example, the 10-directional cauldron was formed 10,000 years ago during the ancient war. The 10 of them had risen from the chaos and established their own powers. Slowly, they became the 10-directional cauldron. The Long family, the Pill Alliance, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Myriad Beasts Gate, the Heaven and Earth Gate, the Five Elements Gate, the Wanjan School, the Sword Sect, the Violet Thunder Sect, and the Profound Heaven Sect. The 10-directional cauldron's power was about the same. If it was a one-on-one, it was hard to say who would win. However, the 10-directional cauldron was smart. They didn't rashly attack. Otherwise, if the Sandpiper clam and the clam fought, the fishermen would take advantage of the situation. The consequences would be unimaginable. The Myriad Beasts Gate, the Long family, and the Martial Artists Alliance didn't just have to deal with the chaos. They also had to deal with the Longao. That was because they only had 3 years. Who knew if the godly diviner would continue to favor the Longao when he came out of seclusion 3 years later? It was better to be safe than sorry. The 3 superpowers didn't want this what-if, so it was better to deal with the Longao as soon as possible. Just like that. The 3 superpowers, the Long family, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Myriad Beasts Gate, entered the 9 provinces continent at the same time. The originally peaceful 9 provinces continent was instantly thrown into chaos. The people of the 9 provinces continent cursed the 3 superpowers inside. They all supported the Dragon Valley to resist the 3 superpowers. Chapter 1603. The 3 superforces had each sent a Nirvana realm martial artist to oversee the 9 continents. If there was no Dragon Valley, why would they need a Nirvana realm martial artist? At the end of the day, the 3 superforces were still very afraid of Longao. Due to the deterrence of the divine mathematician, none of the forces would casually attack Dragon Valley. However, if Dragon Valley took the initiative to attack, it would be a different matter. Dragon Valley. After a day and night of discussion, Longao and Long Yi decided to temporarily give up on entering the Sky Martial continent. There were 2 reasons. The first reason was that with the withdrawal of the 5 Nirvana realm martial artists from the Massacre Abyss, Longao was very clear that with the current strength of Dragon Valley, even if they entered the Sky Martial continent, they would not be able to gain the slightest advantage. The second reason was that when the Sandpiper and the Clam fought, the fishermen would benefit. Longao's meaning was very simple. The current Sky Martial continent was in chaos, and he believed that it would not be long before the 10 Directions Tripod War started. If that was really the case, once the 10 Directions Tripod War suffered losses, Dragon Valley would choose to enter the Sky Martial continent at that time. Aoa, the 3 superforces have already entered the 9 continents. Even if many people are not convinced, under absolute deterrence, I'm afraid that it won't be long before the 9 continents completely falls. He nodded. Regarding the meaning of what his father said, how could Longao not know? At this time, it was not the best time to choose to fight the 3 superforces head-on. However, Longao was very clear that if the 9 continents were to be attacked by the 3 superforces, in order to deal with him, he believed that no matter what happened, the 3 superforces would not casually withdraw from the 9 continents. No matter what, the 9 continents could not be given away. Father, leave this to me. On the second day of the 3 superforces entering the 9 continents, Longao had already received the news. Martial Artists Alliance, Tang Hao, Murong Yangus' grandfather, had come. Wan Shou sect, Shapotian, could be considered Longao's biggest enemy, because Longao's disciple had died because of Shapotian. As for the Long clan, it was Long Hang. 3 Nirvana realm martial artists. At the peak of the mountain, the surroundings were incomparably desolate, with no weeds growing. As the sun slowly set, night fell quietly. 2 figures appeared silently. Vice Alliance leader Tang, long time no see. How have you been? The 2 figures were none other than Tang Hao from the Martial Artists Alliance and Longao from the Dragon Valley. Longao, you're still the same. Looking at the young man in front of him, Tang Hao sighed deeply. Tang Hao admired Longao's character and courage, especially Longao's talent. In addition, because of his granddaughter, he would help if he could. Tang Hao knew very well that the Martial Artists Alliance had sent him here to see how his relationship with Longao was. Once he hesitated, the consequences would be unimaginable. Under normal circumstances. As the Vice-Alliance leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, Tang Hao should put the interests of the Martial Artists Alliance first. However, Tang Hao thought that the Martial Artists Alliance was wrong in the first place regarding Longao. Vice-Alliance leader Tang, there are some things that I can't control. But the grudge has been formed. Either you die or I die. Longao didn't want to have a life-and-death confrontation with Tang Hao unless it was absolutely necessary. Not for the sake of the monk, but for the sake of the Buddha. Except for Tang Hao, Longao knew that even Murong Yanga couldn't kill Tang Hao. Vice-Alliance leader Tang, I don't want to have a life-and-death confrontation with you. I hope you can. Before Longao could finish, Tang Hao waved his hand and said, Longao, as a member of the Martial Artists Alliance, I can't not do anything. I came to the Jojo continent this time to deal with you. In that case, I have nothing to say. Goodbye. Tang Hao turned and left. After a while, he turned into a black light and disappeared without a trace. Standing at the top of the mountain, Yi Futian looked at the endless void in the distance. What should he do? Longao was very confident that it wouldn't be difficult to kill Tang Hao with the cooperation of the Crimson Mantis and the Crimson Spider. Did he really have to kill Tang Hao? Night fell. The three superpowers started to attack all the forces in the Jojo continent, except for the Dragon Valley. The Martial Artists Alliance, the Long family, and the Wan Shou sect were all part of the 10 forces. Even one of them could easily destroy the Jojo continent and dominate the Jojo continent, let alone the 3 of them working together. In just a few hours, the Jojo continent was covered with corpses. Those who didn't dare to disobey chose to surrender. In less than a day, 1/3 of the Jojo continent was occupied by the 3 superpowers. At this rate, the 3 superpowers would conquer the Jojo continent in 3 days at most. If that was the case, the Dragon Valley would be besieged by the 3 superpowers. The result was obvious. Those who offend the Jojo continent will be killed, no matter how far away they are. Suddenly, a thunderous voice resounded throughout the entire world of the 9 continents. Everyone, including Tang Hao and the members of the 3 superpowers, heard the voice, and their faces were filled with shock. Those who offend the Jojo continent will be killed, no matter how far away they are. Those who offend the Jojo continent will be killed, no matter how far away they are. Those who offend the Jojo continent will be killed, no matter how far away they are. This is Longao. Hearing Longao's voice, everyone in the Jojo continent started to cheer. As for the 3 superpowers, after a short period of shock, disdain and mockery appeared on their faces. In the eyes of the 3 superpowers, without the deterrence of the Oracle, Longao was nothing. Any one of the 3 superpowers could easily deal with the Dragon Valley, let alone the 3 superpowers working together. It would be a matter of minutes. If it weren't for the deterrence of the Oracle, the 3 superpowers would have attacked the Dragon Valley directly. At that time, how could Longao fight against the 3 superpowers? Those who offend the Jojo continent will be killed, no matter how far away they are. What did he mean by that? Did Longao really think that he was the master of the Jojo continent? Everyone in the 3 superpowers couldn't help but laugh. This time, in addition to the 3 Nirvana realm cultivators, the 3 superpowers had an army of more than 10,000 people. This was more than enough for the Jojo continent. After all, the weakest of the people who came this time were great emperors. There were also gods and supreme gods. This was a terrifying force. Shepotian, Tang Hao, and Long Hang sat in a circle in the tent. They looked at each other. Except for Tang Hao, the other 2 had a smile on their faces. They didn't put Longao's warning in their eyes. Elder Long, your Long family really has a weirdo. Those who offend the Jojo continent will be killed, no matter how far away they are. I really want to see Longao now and ask him what gave him such courage. You really want to see me? I'll fulfill your wish. Chapter 1604. As soon as he finished speaking, Longao suddenly appeared. It was as if he had appeared out of thin air. Seeing Longao suddenly appear in front of them, the three of them were shocked. Was Longao not afraid of death? The three of them couldn't figure it out because the calmer Longao was, the more unsure they were. They learned from their mistakes. Longao, I have to admire your courage. You're really not afraid of death. You. He ignored Long Hang. I just said that whoever offends the 9 states will be killed no matter how far away they are. Without giving the three of them any chance to speak, Longao continued, if you know what's good for you, you'd better get out of the 9 states continent. Otherwise, I'll kill whoever I see. Arrogant. They had to admit that Longao was really arrogant, extremely arrogant. Who in the world dared to be so arrogant in front of 3 Nirvana realm warriors? Moreover, Longao's cultivation had just broken through the Nirvana realm. He had just reached the peak of the Emperor God realm. They laughed. Among the 3 of them, except for Tang Hao, the other 2 laughed. Their laughter was full of ridicule and disdain. Long Hang snorted and said contemptuously, Longao, do you really think the 9 states continent is your territory? Shapotian, who had been silent all this time, said, Longao, I believe you already know why we're here this time. The grudge between you and our 3 families must be resolved this time. Nonsense. Because of the death of his disciple, the grudge between Longao and Shapotian had reached the point where one of them had to die. Shapotian was not angry at all. Instead, he said with a smile, Longao, if you're willing to come here this time, don't leave. The 3 of them had invisibly surrounded Longao. Even if Tang Hao was unwilling to do so, he had to do it now. Otherwise, if this matter was reported to the Martial Artists Alliance, he would not be able to explain it to the Martial Artists Alliance. I'll give you 1 day. After 1 day, if you don't leave the 9 states continent, I'll take action. He turned around. Under the shocked gazes of the 3 people, Longao's figure suddenly disappeared. In the air, only Longao's voice was left. Those who offend the 9 regions will be killed no matter how far away they are. The 3 of them looked at each other and saw a trace of shock in each other's eyes. Spatial artifact. Both Long Hang and Tang Hao knew exactly what Shapotian meant. This matter was no longer a secret. It was common knowledge that Longao was able to vanish in front of a rebirth realm martial artist because Longao possessed a spatial artifact. It would be a lie to say that they didn't want such a spatial artifact. Mph, I want to see what kind of tricks Longao can play. Long Hang had always found Longao an eyesore. Even now, Long Hang was filled with regret. If he had killed Longao back then, none of this would have happened. He was filled with regret. Although Longao had said that those who offend the 9 regions will be killed no matter how far away they are, Long Hang still didn't believe that Longao had such strength. From the beginning to the end, Long Hang didn't put Longao in his eyes. 1 day. I also want to see how merciless Longao will be after 1 day. Tang Hao didn't say anything because he didn't know what to do next. With regards to Longao's character, Tang Hao could be considered to have understood. Longao had just said that he would make his move after 1 day. If there were no accidents, he believed that Longao would definitely make his move after 1 day. Longao's arrogant words had already spread throughout the 9 states continent. It could be said that there was no one who didn't know about it. No one believed Longao's words. After all, the strength of the 3 superpowers was there for all to see. Especially this time, the 3 superpowers had entered the Tianwu continent and each of them had sent a rebirth realm martial artist. The 1-day agreement. Longao had already said that if the 3 superpowers didn't scram out of the 9 regions continent in 1 day, Longao would take action. With the God Diviner's deterrence, the 3 superpowers definitely wouldn't casually attack the Dragon Valley. However, if the Dragon Valley took the initiative to attack, the matter would be different. If Longao took the initiative to attack, wouldn't he be courting death? Time trickled by. 1 day quietly passed. Everyone was waiting for the day to come, especially the people of the 9 regions continent. They couldn't wait for Longao to drive the 3 superpowers out of the 9 regions continent. 1 day later. Longao couldn't possibly just say that. However, Longao was extremely clear that he couldn't involve the Dragon Valley in this matter. Otherwise, the three superpowers would start attacking the Dragon Valley. He couldn't bring trouble to the Dragon Valley for no reason, especially the three superpowers. The night quietly passed, and the day quietly arrived. The Dragon Valley led the two Nirvana divine beasts, the Crimson Spider and the Crimson Mantis, and an army of hundreds of thousands of corpse slaves into the camp of the three superpowers. This time, Longao was prepared to make an earth-shattering move. It could be considered as an example to others. In the void of the nine heavens, thousands of miles of clouds. Longao and the two Nirvana divine beasts coldly looked at the three Nirvana realm cultivators. As for the army of hundreds of thousands of corpse slaves, they swarmed forward and began to kill the three superpowers members. Dozens of corpse slaves ganged up on one. Even if the three superpowers disciples were powerful, they couldn't take on 10 of them at once. Moreover, corpse slaves had immortal bodies. It wouldn't be a problem for them to hit them 10 times, but if they hit them once, they wouldn't be able to take it. Under such circumstances, it was a simple matter for the hundreds of thousands of corpse slaves to annihilate the three superpowers members. In less than an hour, everyone from the three superpowers was annihilated, leaving only corpse slaves. Among the hundreds of thousands of corpse slaves, only a few dozen corpse slaves had fallen. In this battle, Longao had won. The three superpowers had been utterly defeated. Hearing the miserable screams coming from below, Tang Hao, Shapotian, and Long Hang naturally knew what was happening. Their expressions grew more and more gloomy. Everyone in the martial heaven continent knew that Longao had used some kind of secret art to refine the dead into a corpse demon. His physical body's defensive power was even more terrifying. Longao, you'll definitely regret this in the future. Just wait, I'll let you know the price of doing this. Long Hang's voice was extremely cold. He didn't want to appear arrogant at all. This time, all the people he brought were killed by the enemy before they could even make a move. Putting aside the issue of face, if this matter were to spread to the Long clan, how would he explain it to them? The only thing he could say was that he had killed Longao. A day ago, I already said that anyone who offends the 9 prefectures will be killed. I gave you a chance, but you didn't grasp it. Now, even if you want to leave, there's no chance. Chapter 1605. No chance. He looked at them with disdain. Longao, I'd like to see how you're going to keep us here. Until now, Shapotian and Long Hang still didn't take Longao seriously, because it was hard to make up for the gap between their realms. Kill. Since things had come to this point, Longao didn't hesitate anymore. They had to fight. This fight was unavoidable. The Crimson Mantis and the Crimson Spider came out instantly. The Crimson Mantis fought Long Hang, and the Crimson Spider fought Shapotian. As for Tang Hao, you'd better leave. Tang Hao looked at the young man in front of him, and his expression changed again and again. He didn't know why, but he felt that Longao came prepared this time. Even if he stayed, it would be useless. The three of them were shocked by the two Nirvana divine beasts. Longao, if I leave, I won't be able to explain it to the Alliance. Longao chose to ignore the martial artists' alliance. Even if we're not friends, we're definitely not enemies. Yang doesn't want to see us fight. Thinking of his granddaughter, Tang Hao chose to leave in the end. Tang Hao, before Shapotian could finish his words, he was attacked by the Nirvana divine beasts. He didn't even have the chance to continue speaking. Looking at Tang Hao, who was gradually disappearing, Longao was finally relieved. It was still the same words. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he absolutely did not want to fight to the death with Tang Hao. Shapotian and Long Hang's strength was almost the same as the two Nirvana divine beasts. Once the two sides started fighting, it would not be an easy task to determine the victor. Longao looked at the fight coldly, but he didn't immediately take action. The fight between two Nirvana divine beasts and two Nirvana divine warriors could be said to be earth-shattering. The reason why Longao chose to fight here was that he didn't want to get involved. because ordinary people couldn't bear the aura of a fight between Nirvana divine warriors. The Jojo continent was his territory. The news of Longao's battle with the three superpowers had already spread throughout the 9 continents. In the short span of an hour, all the members of the 3 superforces, with the exception of the 3 Nirvana realm martial artists, had perished. Not a single one was left alive. Is this true? They had just received the news, so no one believed it. After all, such a thing was simply unimaginable. In the void of the 9 heavens, thousands of miles of clouds, a heaven-shaking battle took place. Everyone gathered far away, raising their heads to watch the great battle of the 9 heavens, exchanging blows back and forth, their auras sweeping through the world. Would the 3 Nirvana realm martial artists win, or would Longao win? Until the final moment of the great battle, the outcome would always be unknown. Under normal circumstances, it was almost impossible for an emperor god to defeat 3 Nirvana realm martial artists. It was like a fool's dream. Except for Longao. The situation was completely different. Longao was able to eliminate everyone from the 3 superpowers in a short period of time. With this alone, Longao was able to look down on the world. The great battle of the 9 heavens was earth-shattering. Longao eventually joined the battle, with 1 reincarnation avatar and 1 Longao on each side. In this way, Longao's side became 2 against 1, and their chances of winning were higher. Bang! With a loud bang, Longhang's body flew out. Who sneaked an attack on me? It's me. Longhang was only using heavenly cycle multiplication, and Yuin was also using heavenly cycle multiplication. If they were to fight one-on-one, Yuin would not be able to defeat Longhang. It was unknown whether she would win or lose. However, Longhang was focused on the Nirvana divine beast, so he didn't expect Longao to have a Nirvana realm martial artist on his side. In his carelessness, Yu Yin's sneak attack succeeded. Yu Yin, why are you here? Seeing Yu Yin's sudden appearance, Longao was displeased. He didn't want anyone from the Dragon Valley to be involved in the feud between him and the 3 superpowers, including Yu Yin. Even if Yu Yin's cultivation had reached heavenly cycle reproduction, so what? There were at least dozens of people from the 3 superpowers who could kill Yu Yin. Brother Long, I can help you. Yu Yin's face was firm. Seeing this situation, Longao was helpless. Longao, you have an unfair advantage. Shapotian avoided the Nirvana divine beast with a palm and quickly came to Shapotian's side. The 2 of them looked at each other and saw a trace of shock in each other's eyes. Until now, the 2 of them had never thought that Longao would have so many Nirvana realm martial artists on his side. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it. Shapotian, Longhang, as the saying goes, the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Since you have lost, then stay and kill them. Not wanting to leave any trouble for himself, Longao ordered the 2 Nirvana divine beasts to charge at the 2 of them. As for Yu Yin, she had already rushed out before Longao could react. With 1 man and 2 beasts working together, it was more than enough to fight against the 2 of them. Longao's chances of winning had increased again. However, since things had come to this point, how could Shapotian and Longhang continue to stay? If Tang Hao didn't leave, the 3 of them might have a chance to turn the tables. But now, it was impossible for them to win, so they could only leave first. As the saying goes, where there is life, one need not worry about firewood. As long as they return to the sect, at that time, the 3 superforces will join hands to kill Longao. It will be a piece of cake. The 2 of them used blood escape at the same time and disappeared instantly. Big Brother Long, should we chase after them? Yu Yin knew very well that the 2 of them were obviously afraid. If she chose to pursue them at this time, the probability of successfully killing the 2 of them would be very high. Otherwise, once the 2 of them returned to their respective sects, it would not be so easy to kill them in the future. However, Longao shook his head and said helplessly, no need. The 2 of them are heavenly cycle reproduction warriors. Once they use the blood escape art, you and I won't be able to catch up with them. This time, we didn't eliminate them completely. If there are no accidents, I believe that the three superforces will launch a large-scale attack in 3 days at most. At that time, the Jojo continent will definitely be captured and our dragon sect can only hide in the Dragon Valley. Otherwise, the three superforces will definitely think of ways to deal with us. If it was before, even if the two of them knew they couldn't catch up, they wouldn't have given up so easily. However, the current situation was a bit special. The martial heaven continent was in chaos, and the god diviner was in seclusion. The three superpowers would definitely take advantage of this opportunity to deal with them. If they didn't think of a way to deal with them quickly, they would be in a very passive position. Longhang and Shapotian were naturally afraid of being chased. The two of them used all their strength to rush back to the martial heaven continent. Their speed was at its peak. Without the help of transportation formations, the two of them managed to leave the 9 provinces continent in just a few hours. Chapter 1606. Big Move. In order to not give the three superforces a chance, Longao had forcefully destroyed all the teleportation arrays in the 9 continents. In other words, from now on, whether it was from the Sky Martial continent to the 9 continents or from the 9 continents to the Sky Martial continent, one could not use the teleportation array and could only rely on their feet. No matter how fast one's feet were, it was impossible to be faster than the teleportation array. Not only that, in order to deal with the upcoming chaos, Longao was preparing to develop the power of the Dragon Valley as quickly as possible. Expansion. Currently, the 9 continents was the territory of the Dragon Valley. Longao used the Dragon Valley as his headquarters and set up 9 branches in the 9 continents. Sky Region, Earth Region, Sun Region, Moon Region, Sunset Region, Cloud Region, Crimson Region, Illusion Region, and Black Forest Region. The 9 continents were intertwined into a huge spider web. The news of Longao defeating the 3 superforces, Tang Hao retreating without a fight, and Shapotian and Longhang fleeing had already spread throughout the entire 9 continents, including the Sky Martial continent. Sky Martial continent. Long family. In the Great Hall, Long Di Tian's face was very gloomy, because he never thought that the 3 families would almost be wiped out. Fortunately, Longhang was fine, otherwise, he would not be able to explain it to the old ancestor. Longao was the biggest variable. Patriarch, Longao is not simple. According to my estimations, the current dragon sect has 1 Nirvana realm martial artist and 2 Nirvana divine beasts on the surface, but in the dark, no one knows how many Nirvana realm martial artists there are. How could Long Di Tian not know about the Great Elder's worries? If that was the case, then it would be troublesome. The Myriad Beasts sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Long family. Although the 3 superforces had a common enemy, Longao, the 3 families were not one family. On the matter of Longao, they might be friends, but other things might not be. For example, the current chaos. Survival of the fittest. The divine mathematician's meaning was very simple. He wanted to take advantage of this seclusion to change the situation of the continent. If the 10-directional cauldron were to join forces, no one would be able to shake its position. However, could the 10-directional cauldron do that? The 10-directional cauldron was very worried. If they joined forces and the god diviner turned against them, how were they supposed to deal with that? Shuffle the cards again. Considering how strong Master God Diviner was, it wouldn't be difficult for him to destroy the 10 Directions cauldron and re-establish it. It was precisely because of this. The 10 Direction cauldrons did not join hands as expected. Instead, they all had their own ulterior motives. They wanted to destroy each other and re-establish their position as the overlord of the Martial Heaven continent. Now, it was still the 10 Directions tripod. 3 years later, the power structure of the Martial Heaven continent would change. At that time, whether it would be the current 10 Directions tripod or a new 10 Directions tripod was unknown. Perhaps, 3 years later, there would no longer be a tripartite balance of power, but a tripartite balance of power. No one would be able to control the situation. Long Tian's figure suddenly appeared. Forefather. Seeing the old ancestor suddenly appear in front of them, whether it was Long Di Tian or Longhang, They immediately bowed respectfully. How is it? Not daring to hide anything, Longhang recounted everything that had happened in the 9 prefectures continent in detail. Long Tian's expression was indifferent. He didn't say a word. Long Tian didn't say anything, and neither of them dared to say anything. Neither of them knew what the old ancestor meant. Was he angry? Or did he not care? This was especially true for Longhang. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't worried. This time, he had gone to the 9 prefectures continent to kill Longao. But what had happened? Not only had he failed to kill Longao, but Longao had killed everyone except him. If he hadn't personally experienced it, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. I really didn't expect that in just a few months, Longao would have so many Nirvana realm cultivators by his side. Longhang, this isn't your fault. Hearing the old ancestor's words, Longhang let out a long sigh of relief. Old ancestor, what should we do now? Let's put the matter of Longao aside for now. This time, Lord Godly Mathematician is in seclusion. The situation of the Tianwu continent will be changed. At this time, if we divert our attention to dealing with Longao, I'm afraid we'll miss the big event. In Long Tian's eyes, Nirvana realm cultivators weren't as important as the continent. In Long Tian's opinion, even if Longao was a big variable, it was impossible for him to change so much in a year. Old ancestor, if we go all out, it will be difficult for us to deal with Longao when he rises. After suffering a great loss, Long Di Tian was still afraid of Longao. Longhang smiled. Do as I say. Remember, don't be reckless. I want to see how the other 9 families are preparing. Yes, old ancestor. Even if they were unwilling and didn't agree, since the old ancestor had said so, both Long Di Tian and Longhang could only swallow their words. The more they said, the more mistakes they would make, especially at this time. The 10 direction cauldrons were all eager to try because the 10 direction cauldrons didn't want to be the prey, but the hunter. Furthermore, in this situation, the slightest carelessness would cause them to fall into a state of eternal damnation. Dragon Valley. 3 days have passed. Long Family, WAN Show Sect and Martial Artists Alliance still haven't made any moves. What is the meaning of this? Longao was also a little surprised because according to his calculations, it wouldn't take more than 3 days for the 3 superpowers to enter the 9 provinces continent. Even if they couldn't deal with Dragon Valley because of Lord Godly Mathematician's deterrence, as long as they conquered the 9 provinces continent, Dragon Valley would be like a turtle in a jar, at the mercy of the 3 superpowers. There was only one reason why the 3 superpowers hadn't made any moves until now. Father, according to my guess, the reason why the 3 superpowers haven't entered the 9 provinces continent is because they want to kill each other. It seems like the war between the 10 direction cauldrons in the Martial Sky continent won't be long. Then what should we do now? In Long Yi's opinion, the matters of the Martial Sky continent had nothing to do with him. No matter who killed who, it wouldn't be good for Dragon Valley, but it also wouldn't be bad. Whether it was the 10 direction cauldrons now or when the situation changed, it was fine as long as the other party didn't enter the 9 provinces continent. It was because of this that Long Yi didn't want to enter the Martial Sky continent and get involved in this flood. Looking at his father's expression, Longao already knew what his father was thinking. He said helplessly, "Father, even if we don't enter the Martial Sky continent now, no matter what happens when the time comes, unless the 3 superpowers are all destroyed, they won't let the matter rest. Entering the 9 provinces continent is something that must be done. Therefore, we have to take the initiative. If we take the initiative, the consequences will be unimaginable." Chapter 1607. Take the initiative to attack. Long Yi knew what his son meant. In the end, he still wanted to enter the Martial Heaven continent. Long Yi was helpless. How confident are you? Father, due to the threat of the God Diviner, I believe that as long as the 3 superpowers aren't stupid, they won't attack the Dragon Valley. So no matter what happens, the sect shouldn't take the initiative to attack. Long Yi nodded. Of course, Long Yi knew this very well. Father, I've already thought about it. This time, I'll lead the corpse slave army to enter the martial heaven continent. In an instant, Long Yi understood his son's intention. Before Long Yi could say anything, Longao continued, Father, I've already made up my mind. If you want to help me look after the Dragon Valley. Looking at his son in front of him, Long Yi finally sighed deeply. Long Yi was very clear about his son's character. Once Aoa decided on something, he wouldn't change his mind under normal circumstances. Worried. However, Long Yi didn't say anything. Aoa, you have to bring the blood-colored spider and the blood-colored mantis. He shook his head. Father, I know you're worried about me, but I'll leave the 2 Nirvana divine beasts in the Dragon Valley. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Afraid that his father would continue to say more, Longao found an excuse to leave. This time, Longao didn't bring anyone with him. Yu Yin, his friends, his family. Not a single one. 1 man, 1 dragon, 1 tiger. The 3 brothers looked at the endless void in front of them. In the next instant, 3 figures streaked across the sky, heading toward the Martial Heaven continent. Martial Heaven continent, I'm coming. This time, Longao swore that he wouldn't return even if he died. This time, no matter what happened, he had to gain a foothold in the Martial Heaven continent. The God Diviner had been in seclusion for 3 years, and the Martial Heaven continent was already in chaos. This was an extremely rare opportunity for everyone, including Longao. The Martial Heaven continent. The 10-direction cauldron was a first-rate power. It was the foundation of the Martial Heaven continent. Once the 10-direction cauldron started a war, it would be a major disaster for the Martial Heaven continent. That was precisely the case. The 10-direction cauldron didn't dare to act rashly. They just watched and waited. However, at this time, 60% of the other forces, such as second-rate, third-rate, and fourth-rate forces, were involved in the war. Stepping into the Sky Martial continent. Longao didn't quite believe that he could deal with the 10-directional cauldrons directly. After some thought, he decided to start with the third-rate factions. In order to rise up, second-rate forces fought fiercely. If they were to get involved at this time, it would be an arduous and thankless task. In the Sky Martial continent, there were at least 100 third-rate powers. Which one should he choose? Longao did not take action immediately. Instead, he quietly began to gather information and observe all the participating third-rate forces. As the war continued to escalate, Longao targeted the Liu Li sect. The Liu Li sect was a third-rate force. Moreover, among the third-rate forces, it was considered to be at the bottom. Usually, when it was bullied by others, it would not dare to make a sound. Everyone thought that a sect like Liu Li sect, once the war started, the first to be destroyed would definitely be it. And the result? The result was out of everyone's expectations. Because no one had thought that the Liu Li sect, which was considered to be at the bottom of the third-rate forces, would display great strength as soon as the war started. Although there were only 1,000 disciples in the sect, they were all Nihility realm martial artists. Especially the Liu Li sect's master. All along, the Liu Li master gave everyone the impression that she was weak and incompetent. The fact that the Liu Li sect could survive in the hands of such a person was a miracle in itself. However, it made everyone's jaws drop. This usually weak and feeble Liu Li master was actually a Nirvana realm martial artist. Her strength was valiant. Leading the Liu Li sect, in a short 3 days, they destroyed 4 third-rate sects, shaking the world. Pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. No one looked down on Liu Li and the Liu Li sect. Instead, many people praised Liu Li. Sometimes, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger was also a method. Furthermore, since Liu Li was able to reach the Nirvana realm, it already showed how talented she was. After obtaining all the information about Liu Li, Longao prepared to attack the Liu Li sect first. The Liu Li sect had 1 Nirvana realm martial artist, 2 Emperor God realm martial artists, 12 Supreme Divine Path martial artists, and 36 Supreme Divine Path martial artists. There were more than 1,000 people in the sect, each of them valiant in battle. Liu Li sect. In the main hall, Liu Li was a tall and sturdy man with a full beard. The most peculiar thing was that Liu Li had a huge tumor on his left cheek, which made people shudder with fear. On his left and right sat two elders. They were the two elders of the Liu Li sect, Black Impermanence and White Impermanence. Both of them were genuine Emperor God realm martial artists. Black Impermanence's face was slightly solemn. He said helplessly, "Master, we were exposed too quickly this time. Many sects have targeted us. Among them, the Azura Palace has already targeted us." Azura Palace? Hearing the words Azura Palace, Liu Li's face changed abruptly. He never thought that his sect would be targeted by the Azura Palace. The Azura Palace was a second-rate sect. Even among the second-rate forces, the Azura Palace could definitely be ranked in the top 5. During the turmoil in the Sky Martial continent, the Azura Palace was the most low-key among the second-rate forces. The Azura Palace's palace master, Xing Fa, was a warrior who had achieved one with the heavens. He had a total of 12 vice palace masters under him. The first vice palace master was a warrior who had achieved one with the heavens and earth, while the remaining 11 were all god emperors. With such strength, unless the 10 cauldrons were to join the battle, how could the Liu Li sect contend against the Azura Palace? "Master, if the Azura Palace wants to deal with us, I'm afraid we won't even last 3 days. We must think of a way to deal with them. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable." With the strength of the Liu Li sect, not to mention a third-rated force, even if it was a second-rated force, the Liu Li sect would still have the strength to fight them. Only the Azura Palace, in front of such a powerful force, the Liu Li sect had no chance. Initially, Liu Li wanted to show off his ambition. However, he never thought that his sect would be targeted so quickly. Moreover, it was the Azura Palace. It was simply a pain in the ass. Liu Li didn't know that when they pretended to be pigs to eat tigers, they would definitely be targeted by other forces, especially during this period of turmoil. After all, if they could subdue the Liu Li sect, it would bring endless benefits to the Azura Palace. The Azura Palace had great ambitions. Although they kept a low profile, they wanted to take advantage of the 3 years of turmoil to get rid of the shackles of being a second-rate force. They wanted to become the 10 forces in one fell swoop. Not only the Azura Palace, but many other second-rate forces also had this thought. It was just that they didn't dare to make it public. Xing Dan of the Azura Palace is here to pay a visit to Master Liu Li. Just when Liu Li was about to speak, an airflow enveloped the hall. Before the person arrived, the voice had already arrived. Chapter 1608. Xing Dan. Black Impermanence and White Impermanence's faces instantly turned cold. The newcomer was the first Vice Palace Master of the Azura Palace, Xing Dan, a Nirvana realm martial artist who had comprehended the heaven and earth. Even ghosts knew why Xing Dan had come at this time. Could it be that the Azura Palace really wanted to deal with them? Xing Dan was only 1.5 meters tall, a complete midget. Even so, who in the Tianwu continent dared to look down on Xing Dan? Xing Dan was powerful and vicious. He was famous as the King of Hell, killing without blinking an eye. "Master Liu Li, long time no see. How have you been?" A few years ago, Xing Dan and Liu Li had met once. However, with the situation back then, how could Xing Dan put Liu Li in his eyes? If it wasn't for Liu Li's sudden burst of power, the Azura Palace wouldn't have set their eyes on the Liu Li sect. "Vice Palace Master Xing Dan, we are honored by your presence. Please forgive us for not coming out to meet you." No matter what happened behind their backs, as long as they didn't fall out, they were still friends. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Liu Li wouldn't want to provoke the Azura Palace. After all, the Azura Palace's strength was obvious. Xing Dan sat down gracefully. He smiled. "Master Liu Li, I'll get straight to the point. This time, I'm here to bring the Palace Master's message. Please speak." Until now, Liu Li and the other two still didn't know what the Azura Palace was up to. War? Judging from Xing Dan's expression, it didn't seem like it. The three of them knew that if the Azura Palace really wanted to deal with them, they wouldn't have to go through so much trouble to send a Nirvana realm martial artist. If it wasn't war, Then what was it? Master Liu Li, our palace master's message is simple. Now that the continent is in chaos, no one can guarantee that they can rise or fall in these 3 years of chaos. What do you think? Liu Li nodded with a smile. Liu Li wouldn't say anything before understanding the other party's message. To be honest, our palace master wants to meddle with the 10-direction cauldrons and redefine the structure of the continent. Was there something wrong with his brain? As everyone knew, the Tianwu continent was a 10-direction cauldron. Any superpower could easily destroy the Tianwu continent. The 10 cauldrons were guarded by Nirvana realm martial artists, and even Nirvana rebirth realm martial artists. How would the Azura Palace deal with such a superpower? He seemed to be able to read their minds. Xingdan smiled proudly, her face full of confidence. Master Glaze, have you heard of our Azura Palace's old ancestor, Xingkuan? How could we not have heard of Senior Xingkuan's great name? The 3 of them were very curious. They did not know why Xingdan mentioned this person at this time. Xingkuan was the most brutal man 10,000 years ago. He single-handedly built the Azura Palace and fought against the world. However, back then, Xingkuan was too cruel. He slaughtered all living things. In the end, he was killed by the 10 old ancestors of the Azura Palace. From this, one could imagine how powerful Xingkuan, the old ancestor of the Azura Palace, was. Xingkuan was also a Nirvana rebirth martial artist. Even so what? No matter what happened, Xingkuan had already fallen. Could it be that Xingkuan would be reborn? Looking at Xingdan's smiling face, the 3's expressions changed drastically. They seemed to have guessed something. Black Impermanence suddenly shouted in shock, could it be that Xingkuan hasn't died? Exactly. Astonishment, incomparable astonishment. In the Sky Martial continent, everyone knew that the old ancestor of the Azura Palace, Xingkuan, had fallen. However, the 3 of them also knew that Xingdan had no reason to lie to them. No matter what, the Azura Palace's strength was obvious. Back then, old ancestor was unfortunately ambushed by 10 people and fell. His primordial spirit was reborn. After 10,000 years, he was finally reborn. With this chaos, the Azura Palace will definitely change the situation of the continent. Deputy Palace Master Xingdan, if you have anything to say, just say it. The 3 of them seemed to have guessed something. They shook their heads helplessly in their hearts. I believe that Glaze Master is a smart person. As the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. Our Palace Master values your intelligence and strength. He wants to invite the Glaze sect to join the Azura Palace. In the future, once you achieve great things, our Palace Master will not treat you unfairly. Just as he expected. What he feared would happen. Could he refuse? Glaze knew very well that if he chose to refuse, the Azura Palace would undoubtedly attack the Glaze sect. With the difference between the Glaze sect and the Azura Palace, it would probably be destroyed in a few days. What if he agreed? Once he agreed, there would be no more Glaze sect in the future. Even he, Glaze, could only become the Deputy Palace Master of the Azura Palace. If that was the case, why did he have to endure for so many years in order to create great things? He could take advantage of this chaos and lead the Glaze sect to become a second-rate power. But now, it was too late. With the Azura Palace's interference, what else could he do? Master Glaze, what do you think? Xingdan's face was full of smiles. He wasn't worried at all. In his opinion, the Glaze sect would definitely not refuse such a condition, unless the other party wanted to die. If the Glaze sect agreed, everything would be fine. But if they refused, only death would await them. He was in a dilemma. If he refused, the entire Glaze sect would fall into eternal damnation. If he agreed, Glaze would be unwilling. He had worked so hard to build the sect. If he gave it to someone else, not to mention him, he believed that no matter who it was, they would be unwilling and unwilling. Master Glaze, I hope you won't disappoint our Palace Master. A threat. It was a blatant threat. Glaze and the other 2 were not idiots. Of course, they could hear the threat in Xingdan's words. However, the Azura Palace did have the power to threaten them. After all, their strength was right there. This was how the continent worked. Humans ate humans. If you had the strength, you could ride on other people's heads and shit on them. If you didn't have the strength, you could only stand there obediently and take a beating. This was the law of the jungle. Right at this moment. Subdue them first, then use them as cannon fodder. I have to admit that the Azura Palace's wishful thinking is pretty good. If Glaze Master agrees, there will only be one result. The Glaze sect will be destroyed. From top to bottom, including Glaze Master, they will all be killed. Who is it? Hearing the voices coming from all directions, the four of them were shocked. Especially Xingdan. He never thought that there would be someone so daring to provoke the Azura Palace. Obviously, the other party was the Azura Palace's enemy. If this matter wasn't resolved, the Azura Palace would lose a lot of face. Not only that, what the mysterious man said was the Azura Palace's intention. However, Xingdan couldn't say it like that. In this chaotic period, they must find the right cannon fodder to preserve their strength. P.S. Our Great Alliance Master, Wopen Huan, requested for an explosive update. Xiao Ju had no choice but to do so. Tomorrow, it will start at midnight. Chapter 1609. Looking at the sudden appearance of the young man, the four of them were surprised. Looking at the three's expression, Xingdan was sure that even the three of them didn't know who this person was. Who are you? It's not up to you to judge the Azura Palace's business. Xingdan was truly enraged. However, before knowing who this person was, Xingdan didn't attack immediately. Longao. This time, Longao didn't use the name Black Wolf. Because he knew clearly that even if he wanted to hide his identity, he wouldn't be able to do it for long. Furthermore, he didn't want to hide his identity when he came to the Tianwu continent. Longao. The four of them were shocked. They didn't expect the legendary Longao to suddenly come to the Liu Li sect. Longao, the Azura Palace, and you have always minded our own business. I hope you won't interfere with our business. As the saying goes, a man's life is like a tree's shadow. Longao fought against the three super forces. Even if everyone thought that Longao's strength wasn't that great, smart people knew that Longao's ability to counterattack time and time again was enough to prove his strength. Could it be that he had something to rely on since he appeared so calmly? Xingdan was just about to attack when he heard Longao reveal his identity. He forcefully suppressed his impulse. Xingdan, I have something to discuss with Master Liu Li. As for your business, I hope you can come again in the future. Arrogant. If it were someone else, Xingdan would have already attacked. Except for Longao. Liu Li and the other two were still confused. They didn't know what was going on. Why would Longao suddenly appear? Could it be that Longao was here to cause trouble? The Azura Palace was enough to give them a headache. Now, there was another Longao. Fortune never comes in pairs. Misfortune never comes alone. Staring at Longao, Xingdan's expression changed again and again. In the end, Xingdan still chose to give up. This was not because he was not confident, but because Xingdan did not dare to take the risk. The legend of Longao was too overbearing. If he was unlucky, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. In that case, I'll come back in 3 days. Please. Longao ignored him, causing Xingdan's expression to darken. After Xingdan left, Liu Li couldn't wait to ask, I wonder why Brother Long came to my Liu Li sect this time? Master Liu Li, one wouldn't visit a temple for no reason. I've come to find you for something. As expected. Whether it was a good thing or a bad thing was still unknown. The only thing Liu Li knew was that the young man in front of her should never be provoked. A lunatic who didn't even put the three super forces in his eyes, would he put the Liu Li sect in his eyes? It was simply a joke. Brother Long, feel free to speak your mind. As long as I, Liu Li, am able to do it, I will definitely help you. Longao smiled. Looking at white impermanence on the left and black impermanence on the right, Longao had roughly figured out the situation of the Liu Li sect. The 3 giants of the Liu Li sect were all present, so he didn't need to look for them one by one. Master Liuli, since that's the case, I'll get straight to the point. Nodding. Although Liu Li's face was calm, he was helpless in his heart. He had already sensed that the other party was only an emperor god. In other words, the legendary Longao was really not a Nirvana realm martial artist, but an emperor god. Under normal circumstances, with the strength of the Liu Li sect, it was more than enough to deal with a small emperor god. Even so, would Liu Li dare to make a move? Of course not. Xingdan didn't dare to make a move. Liu Li also didn't dare to make a move. This was something that Longao couldn't do. Master Liuli, I want to cooperate with you. Brother Long, I'm not sure what you mean. Until now, Liu Li still couldn't figure out what Longao meant. I believe that Master Liuli knows the current situation of the continent better than I do. Nodding. Then it's easy. Forgive me for being blunt. Although Master Liuli is a character, it's not difficult for you to rise up in this chaotic world. Brother Long, if you have something to say, just say it. Vaguely, Liu Li seemed to have guessed something. All right, then I'll say it directly. Master Liuli, even without the Azura Palace's interference, it's impossible for you to become one of the top 10 forces. Brother Long, I believe that you've misunderstood. From the beginning to the end, I've never thought of changing the situation of the continent. I just want to have my own place in this chaotic world. To be honest, my wish is to lead the Liu Li sect to become a second-rate force. Do you think you can do it? Liu Li didn't say anything. He was very clear about his own strength, and he was also very clear about the strength of his sect. It was impossible for him to become a second-rate force with his current strength. After all, the Azura Palace had already interfered in this matter. Not to mention rising up, it was still unknown whether he could survive or not. Even so, Liu Li didn't plan to give up. I believe that you know the strength of the Liu Li sect better than I do. Moreover, now that the Azura Palace has interfered, if you don't agree to submit to the Azura Palace, only death will await you. However, in my opinion, no matter if you agree or not, the Liu Li sect will definitely die. Speaking the truth. Although Liu Li didn't say anything, he knew the situation that Longao had just mentioned. In this situation, submitting to the Azura Palace would allow him to live for a few more days. If he didn't, he would die immediately. Just like what Longao had said, no matter if he chose to submit or not, the result would be the same, which was death. Brother Long, do you want my Liu Li sect to submit to you? Not submit, but annex. I believe that Brother Liu Li knows a little about me. I have already established the Dragon Sect, and I also want to have a place in this chaotic world. As long as you are willing to submit to my Dragon Valley, I can guarantee that when my Dragon Sect becomes one of the 10 great forces in the continent, you will be able to become an elder. What do you think? Liu Li's face became gloomy. He didn't expect that a wolf would come after the tiger had just left. In Liu Li's eyes, no matter if it was a tiger or a wolf, they were all the same. Black Impermanence sneered and said coldly, Master Long, aren't you asking for too much? Why should we submit to you? White Impermanence continued, Master Long, forgive me for being blunt, but between the Dragon Sect and my Liu Li sect, it's still unknown who is stronger. Taking a step back, rather than submitting to you, why don't we submit to the Azura Palace? Don't tell me that the strength of your Dragon Sect is greater than the Azura Palace. I don't care if you believe it or not, but I don't believe it. Although the legend was true, Black Impermanence and White Impermanence still didn't put Longao in their eyes. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.